The Fishing Gurus Podcast.
So, Si, obviously I know you listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
I've been itching to have you on for a while, but did you listen to your old teammate, Adrian Whittle's one?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Adi and I go back a long way, being good mates, teammates, as you say, for many, many years with Starlets. And I enjoyed it. Enjoyed Adi Whittle's one. Yeah, I'll tell you one only slight disappointing thing.
Go on.
He didn't have a gift, did he?
Ah,
for the podcast? But you did say on the podcast he'll send one in,
Yeah.
and on the next podcast you'll reveal what the gift is. So
wouldn't it be lovely if we were going to do that on your podcast
surely
today?
that's what you're going to do.
So,
right
Toby,
now.
did the gift arrive in the post?
I haven't seen anything of you.
Oh,
Never.
I apologise, Si.
I tell you, he's a troublemaker.
Is he
Adi.
really?
He is a troublemaker.
You must have some Adi Whittle stories
Yeah.
for us.
Well, many years ago, quite a few years ago now, I had a couple of tumours removed from my stomach,
Right.
and I was laid out fishing for about 8 weeks. And I started gradually, walking, and then thinking about going fishing. And my first time back was a Sensors Challenge qualifier on the Gloucester Canal. And most people knew I'd had this surgery.
What were it, Si?
I had a couple of
lumps?
tumours, like non-malignant. They weren't a major problem, but they needed coming out. And 3-hour surgery to have these things removed.
And you're all right
from my
now?
stomach. This is the story.
Right.
So they would have been absolutely perfect. So anyway, I'm walking up the Gloucester Canal. I've drawn near Adi, and he's walked up to me and said, "Oh, hello, mate. I haven't seen you for ages. Where you been?" I said, "Oh." And he came up to me and said, "How you doing, mate?" Boom, and gave me a friendly dig in the stomach. Literally punched me in the stomach, like in a sort of, "All right, mate, how you doing?" Anyway, I was in absolute agony. Screamed, like proper scream. I was in absolute agony, but it was freezing cold. It was in February or something. And by the end of the match, my bib and brace, windstopper and everything, it was just blood. There was just red blood everywhere. And I went to take my and as I started to take my clothes off, I couldn't move them because the blood had stuck. So I had these big
Had you fished all day,
I'd
bleeding?
fished all day and bleeding.
Did you know it was bleeding at this point?
No, I didn't, because I had my jacket over the top, and it was when I took my jacket off and I saw, it was all stuck on there.
No.
And just from a friendly little, "All right, mate," dig. Anyway, I went home, couldn't get my bib and brace off, couldn't get any of my clothes off. My missus had to take me up to the hospital, and I had to have my clothes surgically removed from, and I went back 3 or 4 times to have repair kind of surgery done where the clothing had got into the wounds and opened the wounds right out.
Wow.
I'd had this surgery, and they were 8 weeks in the healing, but it's a right mess now down there.
And it's all Adrian Whittle's fault.
It is Adi Whittle's fault, yeah.
There we go.
I can show you if you want. You want to see it?
Go on, then, let's have a look. I just want to see your six-pack, really, Si. I've seen... Oh,
Can you see them?
I can see them, yeah. You've
Yeah.
got like a face on your belly with them two.
It's like scars there and there.
If you had a smiley face tattooed on the bottom of your belly, that'd look right good, that would.
So what did he actually do? Did he open the wound again? With
the impact of his friendly little "all right, mate" dig was that the wounds kind of just popped and then started bleeding, and then where the clothing dried
and
into
you hadn't really, you'd obviously been in agony, but hadn't.
I hadn't realised. I was in pain throughout the day. I knew something wasn't right.
I bet he felt bad, didn't he, bless him?
No, I don't.
Did he
I don't
not?
think so no.
He's cold-hearted.
No.
Such and such.
So the sort of bloke that wouldn't bring a gift to a
Yeah,
podcast.
exactly. Adrian, I hope you're
So-
listening. Get it in the post. He's probably going to say that he's posted it and it's got lost in post
Yeah,
now,
he is
isn't
now. You are.
Yeah. Definite.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, it gives me great pleasure to welcome my very good friend and someone who I admire a lot in angling, Simon Fry, to the podcast. Thank you for coming
very
on.
much for having me in.
It's an absolute
It's an honour
pleasure.
to be here. I'm delighted to be here.
Welcome, sir. Welcome. We've spoke about doing it for a while, haven't we?
Yeah.
Must be 18 months ago, 2
Yeah,
years ago
I
we even touched on it.
Yeah, we drew next to each other at Decoy, didn't we?
Yeah.
Was it Feeder Masters
I
qualifier?
think it was. Yeah.
Was it the day it was snowing? Was it that one?
It was cold.
Yeah.
It was certainly cold.
And you said to me that, we'll have to get you in, and you know, here we are.
Well, a few
So-
things have happened since then,
Yeah.
so we've got even more to talk about this time.
Yeah.
I want to get straight into fishing with you, Si, because obviously we've had a natter beforehand, and I can tell you folks, he has got such an interesting background and journey in angling. But where did it start initially for you, Si? When did you very first go fishing?
I think I would have been maybe 10 or 11 years old. No one in my family fished. It's a mystery, really, as to why I was even bothered about going, because literally no one in the family fished. We were, just going on family holidays. I probably saw people fishing off the pier, that kind of thing. And I want to have a go as a little kid. And so I sort of, badgered my mum to buy me a fishing rod, got into it, but no one to take me or anything like that. And I just sort of, it's something I was quite obsessed with as a youngster, but without any family to kind of help me in or nurture me through it. So.
And where did you live at times, Si? Whereabouts were you based?
In London. Yeah,
Right.
South London. So that's where I'm, from and grew up in South London. I used to go to Danson Park. Used to always on the bus. Always used to get the bus. So the amount of kit we take these days, ridiculous. You imagine trying to go on a match on a bus.
We should do that. Make a great film.
Yeah. Well,
wouldn't it?
you could
How
do a
good
film like a little,
That'd
like
be a brilliant YouTube
film.
video, that.
Like literally going like two of you on a bus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when later on when I went into secondary school, I met a guy, Dave Thorpe, who became we were great fishing buddies throughout our secondary school years, and we used to go on buses. We fished an odd match, but mainly pleasure fishing on buses, and it would be a good film.
We should do
I think
it.
that's brilliant, though, because you hear a lot of stories about anglers in early days going on bikes as well.
Yeah.
Just to cycle to the lake. You imagine trying to cycle to the lake with your box on your back.
I tell you what, that'd be good. We should do it. I reckon you're the man to do
Yeah,
this,
I'll come and do it with you.
You and Matt in the middle of London. Can you imagine you squeezing on a double decker with all your kit?
We could do it.
Red bus, seat box, carry-alls, things, side trays, the lot.
Yeah, everything
Everything
we
we
take
take now, but on a bus.
You'd be like Buckaroo, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
All loaded up. Wow.
Do it quick though, because I'm getting on a bit now. So.
And obviously, you just used to go and sit and fish on your own a lot of the time. back then.
Well, my mum and dad split up when I was very, very young, so I sort of grew up with my mum. But my dad used to come and pick me up sometimes in the holidays and take me off fishing. Now, bearing in mind, you imagine this sort of thing happening now. He'd pick me up when I was 13 years old, 12, 13, drive me across London with my gear. He worked in sort of where was it? Uxbridge, out that way. And he used to drop me off at the Grand Union Canal around Denham, I think it was, Uxbridge. Like 13-year-old kid, all my stuff. My mum used to pack me off with a sandwich. Enjoy your day. And he used to leave me on the canal, like North West London, while he was off at work. No mobile phones, no way of getting in touch with me, nothing at all. I was just a 13-year-old kid on a canal on my own. But it was fine back then. You didn't used to even think about it. So, I had lots of days fishing there. Black Park Lake as well in Denham, I think it was, Uxbridge, that area. But yeah, good days. But yeah, no, a lot of my fishing trips were with, this guy. His name's actually Mark Thorpe.
Where does Dave come from then?
Everyone called him Dave.
Right.
He fished, actually. He was a good angler. Really, really good angler. He fished with Keith Arthur, Darren Davis.
Yeah.
So he fished for, I think it was 279. I don't know if you've ever heard of.
I have heard of the team.
279. Yeah, back then. And that was after we left school. He carried on and he was good angler. Don't fish now, but.
Did you ever get super serious at that point, Si? Did you ever fish in your teens and think, I'm going to get into some serious match fishing here?
No, not really. I mean, when I was young, I always used to be mad keen on surfing as well. The sort of very, very small kid. We used to go on family holidays to North Devon, and it was, I'd have a surfboard and fishing rods. And that was, holidays revolved around. And when we used to go and do family things like go around the shops, and that's
look at that for a picture.
Hey, that's my early surfing days.
Now then, tell you what, you could have done with a steak or two looking at that.
Yeah. I don't know how old I don't know, 9 or 10 years old, 9 years old.
Surfing early, that's a very different sport to get in at that age.
Yeah, but it was that would have been on Woolacombe Beach.
In Devon, is that?
In North Devon.
Right.
What happened to that little kid? Look at him. What happened to him? All that lush blonde hair. Where did it all go?
Hey, I can promise you, through this show, we're going to see the development of Simon Fry. If there's any female,
I'm dreading this.
female viewers,
Stop.
They're going to be really happy. There's some great photos coming up.
But yeah, I think there's also some pictures of me younger when I was fishing. So that would have been on the sort of holiday. But yeah, got into it really. Back then, used to go fishing off the rocks, freelining limpets and stuff because couldn't afford to have bait or anything. We used just to kick the limpets off the rocks and freeline, catching sort of pollock and wrasse, and it was good. Great days. But that's where my sort of love of fishing was, furnished, if you like. But
you've mentioned surfing already. I know that played a massive part in your life, sort of talking to you and listening to you.
Yeah.
Almost to the point that took over from fishing in the next sort of decade to come.
Yeah, I mean, with most people with fishing, you find that they were, you travel on the bus, you go where your parents can take you. It's when you get your first car, you can do what you want to do. That's when people's sort of careers take off, and you can branch out, do other things. When I got my first car, I mean, bearing in mind I was going fishing on the bus, I was living in London, so surfing was something for holidays. And I absolutely loved surfing. I was obsessed with surfing. I used to draw surfing caricatures on my scrapbooks at school and stuff like that. I used to drive everyone mad at school, just surfing all the time. And so when I got my car, that was my chance to go surfing. That was it. I just sort of fishing just went out the window for me then. I kind of, I was able to drive down to Devon and Cornwall with my mates, go surfing. I mean, living in London in the winter, we used to drive down to the south coast.
What, just a weekend to go surfing?
Just weekends, yeah. I used to cut sometimes in the summer, if there was any waves about, I'd drive after work and go surfing after work.
That's
From
commitment.
London?
Yeah, that's commitment.
Yeah, just like two-hour drive.
Another one there because that's a wicked shot.
That's
proper action shot. That's
surfing
cool,
in speedos.
Yeah.
He's showing off there. I'm not having that. He's gonna make.
While we're on the topic, Matt, have you ever tried surfing?
I've done that. Is it bodyboarding? Does that count?
Well, yeah. Simon would be better. I've been once. And we did it for a few hours. We were in Ireland, and the way you probably know better than me.
Amazing waves in Ireland, absolutely amazing.
Yeah, they were really. I think in a few hours I stood up once. Like even the art of look at what you're doing there. You're like not only you standing up, you're totally like.
It's like sideways.
Yeah, it's like you've got it. I stood up once for about a second and a half. Other than that, I just couldn't do it. Every time I stood up, I'd fall off. You come off back. It's like, mate, it's really hard.
Yeah.
What's the art side? How did you learn? What was?
I'd learned when I was 8, 9, 10 years old. I mean, you don't even think about it. You just sort of look at what other people are doing. You just do it. Jump on. I had one of that little polystyrene board you saw on the earlier picture. That's a boogie board for laying on. But as a 10-year-old kid, 11-year-old kid, I was like paddling on that. I saw other people standing up. I thought, I'm going to do it. I stood up on it. So I was standing up on that board, only in the white water when I was younger, and it just went from there. I got really obsessed with it to the exclusion of everything else.
What was the thing that hooked you on surfing? Like fishing, people say it's the float going under, it's the mystery, what was it with surfing?
I just think it's the buzz, the sort of rush of adrenaline, the buzz you get from it. I couldn't even put my finger on it. I really did get obsessed with it to the exclusion of everything else. Though. So when I got my car, that was it. Kind of probably 18. I probably didn't pick up a fishing rod really after that for maybe 10 years.
Incredible. Yeah, I never knew that about you.
Yeah. No, I just was, and I played a bit of rugby and cricket, jack of all trades, master of absolutely nothing. I've said it to you before, but that's kind of how I feel.
Your fishing CV kind of says not, but...
I don't know about that. But, again, you associate different sort of anglers with different things, don't you? You look at sort of, I don't know, Ady Whittle, for example, we were talking about. Best river angler in the country, maybe.
Yes, definitely.
He's a river expert. People like, Bennett, Christian Jones, absolutely superb. But if you said, what kind of fishing am I great at? I'd say, I don't know, really. I'll sort of do a bit of everything, reasonable about most things, but master of probably not a lot. In terms of, across the board, it's sort of, I haven't got a style that kind of jumps out, if you like.
I'm going to pull you up on that in about 2 hours' time, I reckon, and just go back over that little bit of talking that you did there. When you've had this 10 years of non-fishing, then, so what were you doing? What did you do for a career in that time, and how serious did surfing actually get for you?
Career-wise, I started off. I got a job as a rep in the cosmetics industry.
Interesting.
Yeah, so unusual one. I literally went for a job interview at a job agency, and they sent me off to a company which was Max Factor.
Yeah.
based in London.
I've heard of that.
Yeah, Max Factor, a big cosmetic company. They liked me, gave me the job, and I ended up going down to. I was a rep calling on independent chemists, and you imagine, you're going to a chemist and there's a makeup stand, and you've got lipsticks dotted around on all the shelves. You got nail polishes dotted around, and I would just be pretty much an order taker. A rep. I'd go in and look at saying, there's one cherry red lipstick, there should be 3, so I need to order you a pack of those. A bit like if you were a tackle rep going in ordering floats.
Yeah.
Or split shot. You're number 8 shots down, we need to order you a pack. Well, I was, black cherry lipstick, you're down, I need to order you a pack. It's similar in many ways.
Incredible.
Actually.
But you kind of wouldn't associate that with being, I don't know if I'm right in saying this, but like a male-dominated industry. Was there a lot of blokes worked in it, Si? Or?
A few, not loads, to be honest with you. It was a kind of female-dominated arena, particularly in the stores. You go walk into a Debenhams or a House of Fraser and you get these, all these sort of glamorous young girls working on the cosmetic counters.
Sounds shocking.
Yeah, terrible.
Absolutely.
For a young sort of 19, 20-year-old guy, it was
ripped surfer.
Your career choice starting to make sense now.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah, I remember the lads at the rugby club. When I first told them I was going to work in the cosmetics, they looking at me as if I was a bit. You are? What do you want to do that for? But first Christmas party, when I brought all the girls along from work, they seemed to change their minds. It was like, career choices, we can see. But,
quite switched on this side character, isn't he? Yeah.
But no, so my first role with Max Factor, I was working, the area, Devon and Cornwall, was vacant. So they sent me down to Devon and Cornwall to look after the vacant area. And call on all the chemists, restocking all the Max Factor products into the chemists and stuff like that. And obviously Devon and Cornwall, sort of surfing mecca of the UK. So I was still living in London, but they'd put me up in hotels, a bit like, you working here and sort of coming down. I used to go down, my surfboard, I only had a little, I think it was a Cavalier SRI was my car.
Right.
Vauxhall Cavalier SRI. It wasn't a hatchback or anything. So my surfboard used to live on the front seat with me. And I remember my boss at the time, a guy called Terry Hale. He was the regional manager, and I remember him sort of paying me a surprise visit down in Cornwall. And he's turned up, and I've got my surfboard in the car, and he's thinking, "Oh bloody hell, what's going on here?" I've taken this rep on, and because I used to stop at my lunch break, put my wetsuit on, and go surfing, for like an hour, maybe 2.
You were obsessed, weren't you?
Yeah. No, I would literally work in the morning, pull up at the beach, put my take my suit off, because in those days you had to go, you repped in a suit, so proper suit, tie the lot, and so off come the suit, on come the wetsuit, go off surfing for an hour, and then carry on in the afternoon, and in the summer I'd go in the evening. It was amazing.
Incredible.
So Terry was out with me this day, and he was sat on the passenger seat and went to put the surfboard in between us. And he was, imagine my boss, my first ever job, he's lifting the surfboard up,
Just for context as well, is that what you fit your surfboard in along when you went to?
Yeah, that was it. That's it.
Let me just
it
throw
was
that up
a
for
red
everyone.
one of those. Yeah.
Is that a tight squeeze?
SRI.
That is a tight squeeze,
it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
I can imagine it poking out the sunroof or something.
Well, it used to have passenger seat laid flat with a surfboard sort of angled in this way. So, yeah.
Wow. And how long did that last for, Si? How long did you work in that sort of cosmetics arena? Because it's such an interesting and different career.
Started off when I was, I think it was 19, 18, 19. But the surfing, I'd always dreamed about going off and sort of surfing. You saw there's so many exotic locations around the world you can surf. And I remember looking at, back then there was no social media, no internet and stuff. It was all magazines. So we'd get, like you got Match Fishing magazine and Pole Fishing. I used to get like surfer and surfing magazines and read about and dream about going to these sort of like Hawaii and New Zealand and Australia. And when I was at Max Factor, a guy called Steve Wheeler joined, and we got on really well. We're the same sort of age, a couple of young guys, really just enjoying life. And he was such a great lad. Still in touch now. And we got talking about surfing, and can you imagine we could go to Hawaii? Oh, you imagine, yeah. It's something you dream about but never think you're going to do. And I suppose about 1980, after about, I'd been in this for about 5 years now, I was probably 23, 24 years old. And we got talking about it more and more. And in the end, we used to talk about was, can you imagine surfing in Hawaii? Can you imagine surfing in California? Can you imagine surfing in Mexico? Can you imagine wherever it was? And it got so obsessive, we thought, sod it, let's do it. So we saved up for about a year, and we just literally packed in our jobs. Both had girlfriends at the time. Packed in the girlfriends, the jobs, everything went, and we bought a round the world surfing ticket. Well, not a ticket. We bought a round the world flight for a year.
What's that mean? An around the world flight? I've
There was
never
a
heard of one
company
of
called
them.
Trailfinders that did flights. You could book a flight. So we had like a flight from Heathrow to Los Angeles to Honolulu in Hawaii, Honolulu to Auckland, I think, New Zealand, Auckland to Sydney, Sydney to up to Brisbane, Brisbane across to Indonesia. Anyway, so on. So it was an open-end ticket. So I think you gave 2 weeks' notice and you could change the date or book the date of your flight. But we paid for it up front. So we were going that way around the world, for a year. And all we took with us was a big rucksack and a surfboard.
Incredible.
And we just thought,
That's
sod
amazing.
it, let's do it. And we literally took off for a year, 1989. And it's like a different life for me. I think, there we are. That's us there.
That's Steve.
That's Steve there.
Look how handsome you are, Si. Look at that.
Sod me, look at him.
Tell you what.
But
That just
Wicked,
doesn't
isn't
look
it?
like
Yeah.
it should be on a fishing podcast, does it? It's like, what are we even
that's
talking
amazing.
about?
That's in Hawaii. We rented that old car. I think we bought it. I think we bought that car for like $300 or something. And we actually lived in that for about 2 weeks. We literally slept in that car, the two of us together in that car, folded the seats down.
Incredible.
And just surf every day, living the dream back then. But do you know, it's funny, I look back at that as I got my life, and then I got my surfing trip life. And that year was almost like a different life. I look back at some best times of my life, some of the best times of my life.
Did you have loads of money and saved up, or did you sort
No.
of go on a bit of a whim as
Yeah,
well?
yeah.
Because we
had no money. We had a bit of money, enough to get us there and to see us for the first few weeks. We went on a wing. We didn't know what we were going to do. We'd researched a little bit before we went. For example, we were going to start, our first flight was from Heathrow to Los Angeles. We arrived in LA and we had pre-booked in Santa Monica Beach a youth hostel, like $10 a night. And we'd booked like a week in this youth hostel. We didn't know where it was. We just turned up at the airport and thought, right, now we're here, we're going to have to find this Santa Monica youth hostel.
But there's no Apple Maps or
No,
iPhone
there's
maps.
nothing.
Or...
There's no social media. There's no phone. We didn't have phones. There was no phones. We didn't have mobile phones didn't exist.
I can't imagine just trying to find somewhere
No. It was a case of literally going to the information centre, sort of, right, how are we going to get to Santa Monica? We've got Santa Monica Youth Hostel, $10 a night, booked for a week. You're going to go. Anyway, so we got to the airport. It's amazing how this turned out. But we went to this. We eventually got to Santa Monica Youth Hostel, and from there we ended up going down to a place called Huntington Beach. Huntington Beach in Orange County, south of Los Angeles. And we were out surfing one day, and we were, a couple of lads from London, chatting away to each other. All right, mate, yeah, lovely, bosh. So, and there are all these other surfer California types out there. And these guys paddled over to us and, where are you guys from? Whereabouts in Australia are you from? We said, no, we're from England. And they went, no, you can't be from England. No way, you can't be from England. And we said, no, we're from England. And they were absolutely fascinated that anyone in England had ever surfed. And so we spent the afternoon surfing with these two guys. And when we sort of paddled out at the end of the day, and they said, where are you off to? Well, we've got to make our way back to Santa Monica, to the youth hostel, which was quite a long way from there, a long way. And they said, well, we're going out for some food, you're coming with us. And we were like, we're 24, 25 years old then, and we're kind of just going, the whole thing of the trip was going with the flow. And we said, yeah, we went out for a meal with them, with these two guys and their friends. I think we went for a pizza or something stupid like that. Ended up having a load of beers, and anyway, they said, you can come and stay at our place. So we went back to their flat in Huntington Beach, ended up staying with them. Next day, what are you doing? Right, we're going to go surfing. Went surfing with them the next day. Same thing at the end of the day. Right, we're doing this. We're going to a sushi bar. It was they had a Monday night sushi club. So we went off to this sushi bar with them, met their families and everything, got on really well with them. Oh, you better come and stay again tonight. So
Have a few beers.
So we ended up staying with these guys, Jeff and Kenny, these two guys. And we stayed with them for about 8 weeks.
Never.
Yeah, seriously. We ended up, and I'll tell you what, I'm not kidding you, within about a week, they'd given us a set of keys for the house, for the front door. Didn't know us from Adam. Didn't know us at all. Just two guys that met out surfing. And after 2 nights out with them, they kind of, we got on, obviously we all got on well. They gave us the keys, and they had a beaten up old jalopy car. They gave us the keys for that. Don't know if it was ever insured or anything, we didn't know. But they gave us the keys and said when they went out working, we'd go off surfing. But yeah, we stayed with them for 8 weeks, and then we were due to fly to Honolulu. And they said, well, we're going on a surf trip down to Mexico. Why don't you come with us? And we kind of looked at each other and thought, why don't we?
Go with the flow.
Go with the flow. So we did. We ended up going on a 2-week sort of trip with a big motorhome and that, going down to camping on the beaches down through Mexico, surfing down there, jugs of strawberry margaritas on the beach at night. And just had an amazing time.
It sounds like a trip out of a film or something. Like you watch these films as a kid and you think, that kind of stuff only really happens in films. That's the feeling I've got in my belly now.
I think we should go surfing now. I think we should just take it up.
Do you reckon?
Yeah. Imagine your next vlog. You'd just be surfing instead. That'd be a bit different.
Surfing vlog.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, so, we ended up doing that. And then from there, ended up going back to LA, flying over to Hawaii. You were asking about how we funded it. Well, when we're in Hawaii, that picture of the car there, we bought that car, stayed in that for a while. Then we met some other people who worked in a hotel in Honolulu, and we got a job working in this hotel in Honolulu, just sort of painting, decorating, maintenance. The hotel let us stay in the room that we were maintaining, decorating. So we'd surf, and I think I've got a picture of me outside this hotel in my rugby shorts covered in paint. And in fact, of the two of us.
Wow.
And yeah, we were sort of, we didn't really get paid a lot of money, but all of a sudden we got accommodation. The chambermaids felt sorry for us. So every time there was a room that had food in it, they emptied it, they put it in our room that we were decorating. So we had food, we had accommodation, and we got to surf all day.
And when you say you went surfing a lot, how often, realistically, did you go surfing on this trip? Was it an everyday sort of thing?
Every single day.
I reckon.
Yeah. That's us. That's outside the hotel in Hawaii. I've still got paint on my leg. Look, you can see on my left leg. That's the paint. So we'd been painting in the morning, and that was us just about to go surfing after our shift.
You look. They look like proper hippie surfer dudes, don't they? Like, look at the surfboards covered in stickers and.
Yeah. Amazing.
You still got them shorts, Si?
Well, probably won't fit me now. But happy days they were.
Amazing. So you just worked as you went.
Yeah, we just worked as we went. And we went on from there to New Zealand. Surfed in Auckland, North Island of Auckland, a place called Raglan, which was probably the best surf I've ever had in my life. It was amazing.
Did you ever get any? Did you ever like anything weird happen? Like, so I'm imagining you traveling the world. Did you ever see a shark attack or get stuck in bad waves or?
Yeah, I'll tell you that.
Like
yeah,
that?
Well, we didn't see a shark attack or anything. We saw sharks on the, reef sharks. Like 4 or 5 foot long reef sharks. But there was one time we were in Haleiwa on the north shore of Oahu, and we were watching the waves, thinking we're going to go out, and this actually still makes me feel a bit sick in the pit of my stomach when I think about this story. But we were on the beach, and there were a few guys out surfing right out the back. They were miles out the back. We thought we didn't know why they were sat so far out, because we couldn't see, much in the way of waves or swell coming in, and it was a long period swell, so the sets were few and far between. But when they came in, they were huge. But anyway, we paddled out in a lull, and when we were paddling out, there were people on the beach literally screaming at us, going, "Come back, come back, come back!" And we were sort of paddling out, thinking, "What are they going on? There's no waves out there." As we started to get near to the other surfers out there at the back, the sets started to come in, and I tell you, I've never been as scared in my life. I mean, talk about crap yourself. It was proper being in a surf movie, seeing these sets coming in. It was.
What do you mean by set size?
Like the waves, they come in sets of sort of 2 or 3 big waves, and then you get like a number, like 7 or 8 smaller waves come in, and then you get another 2 or 3 big waves. They call sets. So the sets come in every, sometimes only every half an hour. So we saw this set of big waves coming in, and we were just like paddling like madmen, trying to scrape to the horizon, because if these waves break in front of you, you get washing machine, tumble down, smashed on the reef, potentially drown. They can hold you down for a long time.
It's dangerous.
Very, very dangerous. And we weren't, we loved it. We weren't great surfers. You surf. I'd surfed a lot from the age of 12, and we were surfing every day. So we, reasonable, but we weren't great surfers at all. Certainly we weren't equipped to be out in those conditions. And I remember these waves coming in, and it still makes me like get slightly nervous thinking about it now, like 35 years later. I think, bloody hell, I can't believe it. We're lucky to be here, is the truth of it. And we paddled out. We were paddling towards the channel. There's a deep water channel where the waves didn't break, and we just paddled like mad and just made it over this set. And I swear to God, we were sat out in the channel panting like lunatics, looking back at these surfers, and these waves were 15 to 20 foot, like the size of buildings.
Christ.
And we were not good enough to be out in those conditions. And if we'd have paddled out, we reckon, I don't know, 5 minutes later, we probably would have died. Honestly, I think so.
Serious as that?
Because we wouldn't have been equipped to deal with that sort of size of wave.
So it's not a case of if a wave breaks, you can just grab hold of your board and get washed in with it.
No, you get held under. You imagine like being a sock in a washing machine. You're going to get held under, churned, bounced off the reef, and the guys that are out there regularly. I mean, I watch surfing films and videos and YouTube all the time now, and it still amazes me to this day how people can go out in the size of waves to do. There's a real hardcore big wave surfers now that, oh God, it's frightening. Like Nazaré in Portugal, you get massive, like 60, 70 foot waves that are ridden. No. It's honestly unbelievable. But so that's the closest scrape I've ever had to, I've been had situations in Mexico. I've been held under by a couple of waves running, and you think, but they weren't that big. They were sort of probably 8 foot waves, 6 to 8 foot waves, which still pack a punch. But this was something else, So
it's amazing the power of water in it.
Oh,
like it's
incredible, yeah.
Such a powerful thing, Mother Nature and that side of it. What was the highlight of that trip, Si? Like, if you had to, I know that there was going to be a lot.
I don't know. I mean, there's too many. There's too many to name. I mean, for me, the probably the best wave I surfed was at Raglan in New Zealand. It was a left-hand point break, which meant I stand as a goofy foot, like right foot forward, and a wave that breaks left would be, because I've got my face then to the wave, it makes it easier to manoeuvre and ride. And that for me was my dream wave, Raglan in New Zealand. We actually played rugby there as well.
Did you?
Yeah.
What, you and Steve?
Yeah, me and Steve. We played for. There was a team, I think the Horatuis, I think they were called. It was a Maori team, and we were the only 2 kind of white boys in the team.
Incredible.
Yeah. So it was amazing.
Do you keep in touch with any of the people that you met there? The guys who you met in LA, that sort of thing?
Jeff and Kenny, that took us into their sort of homes, and we ended up staying with for a few weeks. Kenny got married in 2008, and myself and Paula went over for his wedding. So we still keep in touch now. Still, I've been in touch with them this week on Facebook.
Will they listen to this podcast?
Maybe, if I put them in the right direction.
Got to send it to
I've got to send it to
Definitely.
Yeah. So I went to Kenny's wedding, and that was in Newport Beach in Southern California on a yacht in Newport Harbour. Amazing. That was a long weekend. We just went for the weekend, kind of Friday to Tuesday. A long way to go for a weekend, but yeah, amazing. Yeah, so we still keep in touch.
What an inspirational story, like the whole journey
brilliant.
of just going away. You make me feel like I haven't lived now.
It sounds like a film, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, do you think you could do that nowadays, Si? If there's any youngsters listening that are fancying it, what would you say to them?
I'd go for it. Absolutely go for it. I mean, the only regret I've got, and it's a kind of, a time of life thing, and at, my age, when I did it, there was no social media, there was no mobile phones. We used to take pictures on our little cameras that we sort of, these little cameras we had, we used to take the film. We had to take the films into the chemist to get them developed.
Wow.
Before we moved on to the next trip. And sometimes, you'd be planning to go in 2 days and your films weren't back. You had to cancel your flight because you couldn't go without your film and your pictures. You didn't know what you'd taken. You didn't know if they were going to be any good, if they're out of focus. Nowadays, you'd have the most amazing... Can you imagine now doing it? Having the most amazing record of everything.
I just found it on YouTube. I thought it'd be quite a good one to put up, especially while we're on the topic. But of covering, like you said, surfing now, this was the world record for the biggest wave. This was 5 years ago.
Is this at Nazaré, this will be?
Oh, yeah, that's what I had a quick look.
Nazaré in
So
Portugal.
I just thought it's only a minute long.
Go on, play it. That's ridiculous. That's making my belly go.
See, they get towed into those. Well, you couldn't paddle into that. You get towed in by a jet ski.
Yeah, there was a jet ski at the beginning.
Yeah.
Look at that wave come down.
No! Surely he's gone.
I'll tell you what, Tobes, if you get a chance, you were talking about Ireland earlier.
Yes.
Google Mullaghmore.
Let me have a look.
On the west coast of Ireland, there is the most amazing sequence of an Irish surfer at Mullaghmore last winter, I think it was, the winter before. I think it's Conor Maguire. It's just the most amazing sequence.
You can see why when you watch that, though. You can almost feel the buzz.
I wouldn't be anywhere near that.
Could you do that?
No chance. Absolutely no chance. No. Absolutely no chance at all.
Look at that.
This is, west coast of Ireland, this is. This is not a million miles. We fished the...
Whoa, see him
come off the
So is that dangerous, Si, that?
That is very, very dangerous.
He could-
I wouldn't be out anywhere near that. No chance. No
wow.
chance. This is for expert, professional surfers.
How big's that wave, Sol? Do you reckon? Off just by...
15 foot, 20 foot.
That takes some balls to do that, doesn't it?
Level,
Eh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you could pay me to go and do that.
No, you'd need to be
You've got to be a good
professional
swimmer as well,
surfer
sure,
to do that.
yeah.
Must be fit as a fiddle.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that, look, they're just holding that wave there.
Yeah.
I really want to go do it, don't you?
Yeah, I would. It's one of those things you look at, you think I'd love to be able to.
Simon Fry's ended the careers of Matt and Toby, who've now taken up surfing.
Imagine that good post from Guru. Yeah, the podcast is no longer the
Yeah.
surfing gone wrong.
I don't know.
But yeah, no, it was an amazing trip.
And-
Amazing trip.
What was it like when that trip come to the end, Si? Because obviously you've had a year of like the time of your life.
Yeah.
How did you feel about coming home? And
Well, I mean, coming home was a bit of a downer, to be honest with you. And it wasn't until, I started getting really quite bad withdrawal symptoms from it. And the first couple of weeks just moped around, not really knowing what to do. Excuse me. And eventually, reality kicks in. You've got to go and get a job. Got, bills to pay and all the rest of it. And, and also my kind of, in a bizarre way, it kind of rekindled my interest in fishing. Because having hankered after going surfing everywhere and, every weekend, I want to go surfing, I want to do this, I want to do that. All of a sudden, when you've been away surfing in Hawaii and New Zealand and Australia, Bali and Indonesia was one of my favourites. Coming back and surfing at Brighton on a wet February's weekend in sort of 3 foot mush, it didn't have quite the same appeal. And even going down to, the North Devon, Cornwall coast where you get some fabulous waves. But it's so, spasmodic, intermittent and, unreliable, cold. It just didn't seem the same. So all of a sudden, I started thinking, like whereas I would have a couple of years earlier, weekend, there's some 3 foot mushy surf. Yeah, I'm there. I'm going, come on, let's go. It was like, all right, there's some 3 foot mushy surf. Oh, sod that. I'm going to go fishing. So it kind of, in a way, that experience made me kind of get back into fishing.
Interesting.
Yeah, so...
And how did you go about that? I mean, getting back from that, you said you left your job, you left your girlfriend. Did you have to get a new job?
Yeah, yeah.
And what did you do?
Well, I had a little spell selling mobile phones because that was at the time mobile phones were starting. So... But
that's crazy, isn't it, when you hear that? Yeah. That's the time mobile phones
There
were.
could be something...
When I got back, mobile phones were just coming out. These big... Have you seen these big Motorola bricks
Yes.
with the sort of stock on aerials?
Not like a car phone.
Yeah, car. Well,
it wasn't like
originally
a car
it was
phone,
like
yeah.
a briefcase.
See, there'll
Like
be
a-
some people that'll be watching this that will have no idea what that is.
Yeah.
They're just before me, but I remember them being like a thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you used to have to walk around with a briefcase, and you'd open your ring, and you'd open your briefcase, and it would be like a telephone handset with a curly cord into this huge battery pack in a briefcase, and that was your mobile phone. Was like you were carrying a briefcase,
And then you look at that now.
and then you had phones that were kind of this size. You know,
just for context for our younger viewers, just so they got like an idea.
oh yeah.
of
Well,
what-
that
like
Motorola
that's-
8000. That was I remember having one of those. Second one in, 33,000 quid on eBay.
Never.
No, that's got to be a mistake.
Gotta be.
Yeah.
But that's what they look like.
And I'll tell you what, when I had one of those, I was the mutt's nuts. I'll tell you. Yeah, because none of my friends had mobile phones. You know, working in that industry, very, very short-lived career. But, you know, I was in that for a couple of years. And, I was the bollocks, man.
Really?
Yeah, just, me with my mobile phone. Yeah. Hello!
Gone from being super cool because of surfing to having the latest Motorola. Wow. And where did fishing sort of come back for your side? Because obviously I'm looking at where you are now in angling
Yeah.
and looking at you having this 10-year period off and full-time surfer
Yeah.
dude. Like, surely there's some fast progression somewhere
Well,
there.
I don't know. I mean, I got back into fishing. I've always had this sort of natural competitive element in me. So I wanted to do sort of match fishing because I'd always done that style of fishing anyway. And wanted to get back in. So I joined a couple of little clubs, Mottingham and District, which is where I was living at the time. Met some good... Do you know Mark Hayes?
I've heard.
Mark Hayes
Does
used
a bit
to run
of running and stuff.
Yes.
Yes,
he
I've got
does.
him on Strava.
Right.
Yeah, I know Mark.
Mark was at Mottingham as a junior when I joined there.
Lovely bloke.
There's another guy, Jeff East, who I'm still friends with now. He's a surfer now as well. He's been
Right.
corrupted. But yeah, Mark used to run the South. I think he still might do Southeast Reservoir Championships.
Yeah.
He used to do all the feeder masters kind of qualifiers at Bow Beach and that stuff. So I met him at Mottingham Junior sort of fishing club. Well, I wasn't a junior, but he was. And yeah, just started going out, doing a few club bits and pieces. And I think there was like a Monday night league at a little lake, Darrant Lakes in Kent. And so yeah, I went along there, started doing really well in that. And there was a team whose anglers fished there, Lewisham Tackle team, which was the Tony Mayers, Paul Hoffman. Do you know Hoffy?
I've heard of the name.
Paul, yeah, he's been in the Feeder Masters final a couple of times. Shares a lodge with me and Darren at Whiteacres.
I'll have probably
you
met
might have
him,
seen him.
I bet.
Hoffy's brilliant. He tells the most amazing stories, Hoffy. And I was makes me laugh because you think he'll be like, oh yeah, I remember in 1979 I was pegged between Pete Vasey and Andy Mead and all this. Oh yeah, and I remember Meady feeding about 7 squats and Pete Vasey was feeding about 12 squats, and I remember fishing a little 4x8 Chianti up the shelf. And you say to him, how the bloody hell do you remember all this? And he'd come out with loads and loads of different stories. And one day he just sort of said, we'd say to him, how do you remember all these stories? And he go, I don't, I just make it up. And for years he'd been telling us all these stories and he just makes the whole bloody lot up as he goes. So, but yeah, no, Hoffy was in this original Lewisham Tackle team, and he's probably, of the people that I'm currently match fishing with, he'll be my oldest friend. A lot of them, there's people like, Les May, Lee Pollard and that have been great. But John Parks, who used to fish with Delcat.
I've heard quite a lot of the names,
Yeah.
Si.
Great anglers, but they all play golf now. So they pretty much don't fish at all. Hoffy's the kind of, the last one standing, if you like, from that Lewisham Tackle. And Tony Mayers runs South London Angling, and he's still going strong, still
Right.
fishing. But Hoffy also won the Anglo-Dutch Classic.
Yeah, in Holland.
In Holland, yeah.
On Vaughan Canal.
On the
was
Vaughan
it?
Canal, and was it the Isle? I think it used
Yeah.
to be on the Vaughan Canal and the Isle. They used to rotate days. So so I got into anyway. I digress. I can't remember where I was now. Monday night series.
Yeah.
Where I met all these boys.
I do that a lot. Don't worry about doing that in a podcast.
I'll
We
fall
know-
over the place.
We normally start on one
Exactly.
story and then just off we go. Yeah, Monday night series.
So I've ended up coming, I think, 4th individual in this Monday night series, but I was only club fishing at the time. And Lewisham Tackle were, a serious Kent Winter League. I used to fish the Angling Times Winter League, Super Leagues, and all that.
Against Delcac and all.
Yeah,
them sort of-
fishing with Delcac and I can't remember WT Shipping. I can't remember there's a load of different teams back then, and they just said to me, I'd just come forth in this series. Why don't you come and join us? Come and join us and have a fish with us. So I did, and that was my first sort of foray into like what you'd call serious team fishing. Excuse me. So yeah, that was I kind of got into team fishing that way, really.
And were you still working at the mobile phone place at this point?
No, I'd moved back into the cosmetics industry.
Got ya.
So I was working in the cosmetics industry, yeah, and that's where I met my wife Paula.
Right.
So I think I was working for Elizabeth Arden, and she was working for Yves Saint Laurent, and we,
They're all posh
met.
names, them, aren't they?
I met across the cosmetic counter.
Is that how it happened?
Yeah, in Debenhams. Yeah.
Tell us about it. Go on.
We
I want to
sort of,
relive the moment.
you sort of like go in and sort of smile at each other and have a bit of a flirt, and you end up going off for a spot of lunch or something and a bit of a drink, and we're sort of 25. Well, no more. We've been married for 25 years. So,
Wow.
Yeah. So it was before then. So yeah. What was I talking about again? We're going
Back into
You're dragging me. Well,
That's
yeah,
what
so
happens in here.
got back into the cosmetics industry, and so I was doing that, quite happily doing that actually, and obviously I ended up eventually going into the fishing tackle business, but that's another story.
Yeah,
altogether.
I was going to say it's ever so weird your arena of what you worked in, but obviously when I think about what you actually do now in fishing, it's not that different to what you were doing in the cosmetic side of it. But working in the fishing industry, how did that come about for you, Si?
This is going to sound a bizarre way of starting off this story, but do you remember the old? You probably don't. I think you're probably a bit too young. But in the old close season, you used to get a few commercial fisheries could stock trout, and you could go any method fishing for trout.
Yes.
So
I remember that.
How did this get me into working in the fishing tackle industry? It's a weird one. But one day I went any method fishing for trout with a ground bait feeder and worms at 20 metres, and I caught at Old Berry Hill Lakes in Surrey, and I caught, I can't remember, £60 a bream or something. I'd bream up to £7. And the owner of Old Berry Hill Lakes, David DeVere, don't know if you've ever come across David.
Is he? I'm sure I have. I've done some features at
Right.
Old Berry Hill a while ago. Beautiful fishery, innit?
Yeah.
Stunning.
Big old estate lake, a big, just the most beautiful fishery anywhere really, of that kind of a fishery. So David DeVere was wandering around with his camera as I was catching one of these bream, and he took a picture of me with this bream, sent it off to the Angling Times, and it ended up on the front cover of Angling Times.
Well, I think we've got a photo of that, Tobe, somewhere. I'm sure we have.
Yeah.
So this is during the close season.
This is during a close season, so Keith Arthur wouldn't approve.
No.
Wouldn't approve at all.
I bet he wouldn't. Look
So
at that.
look at that. Super Simon, that was me.
Have you got a bit of ginger in your hair?
No,
there, Si? Or
no,
is that
it's
just...
the I might have a ginger beard, Matt.
You do look. Is it me, Tobe, or does he look like he's got a bit of orange tint in the top there?
You
No,
can
I think
see
it's just the print. It's just the colour.
it's just the colour. Yeah. Tobes knows what he's talking
just
about.
wanted
He
some
knows.
associ-
He knows stuff.
I just wanted
Just
some
stop.
association.
Stop. He knows what he's talking about. If you the old hair's starting to go then. But so that was me trout fishing in the close season. And anyway, cut a long story short, my old boss at Max Factor when I was 19 years old is a guy called Terry Hale. Unbeknown to me at this time, Terry, I haven't been in touch with him now for years and years and years. Like, I can't work it out, 15 years probably I haven't spoken to him. Unbeknown to me, he had bought into Leader Fishing Tackle. So my old boss at Max Factor that I was in the car with lifting up the surfboard when I was 19.
That guy who we spoke
That
about.
guy we spoke about.
The one who turned up.
The one who turned up on a surprise
Cornwall.
visit and caught me with my surfboard in the car was now co-owner of Leader Fishing Tackle, probably the biggest fishing tackle company in the industry at that time.
Wow.
What a coincidence.
What are the chances? Anyway, so Terry's in his office, gets all the, the Angler's Mail, Angling Times and everything delivered, And that turned up on his desk. Right. So Terry Howe's reading through his, looking at the trade, what's happening in the world of fishing these days. He go, bloody hell. I used to work, I know him, Simon Fry. I didn't know he fished. I thought he was a surfer. And he's probably like, what's he doing on the front of a fishing magazine? He's, because he just knew me, he didn't even know I used to fish. He just knew me as a surfer. At that time, he was looking for someone. Leader had bought, they were on a big acquisition trial. They'd bought Tackle Sales, which is where Darren Cox came into Leader and worked for with the Garbolino brand. And they were looking for someone to manage their national account business. Anyway, at that time, I was working for Elizabeth Arden, and I was doing national accounts. I was looking after House of Fraser, Boots, Debenham, some of the bigger stores. And anyway, after seeing that, Terry, he tracked me down. And I can't believe I've seen you on the Angling Times front cover. He said, and he explained what he was doing, and I'm working at Fishing Tackle. I didn't know you fished. Do you fancy having a spot of lunch? Do you ever get up this neck of the woods? Yeah, I'll come and see you. Anyway, I went to see him, and cut a long story short, as I say, I need you to come and work with me at Leader. I want you to, come and work in the fishing tackle business. And he made me an offer that was too good to turn down. And so, yeah, there you go. 1998.
Wow.
And you ended up...
I ended up, so I was living in London, South London, and he made me a job offer, and Leader were based at Redditch. So I was doing the old commute from South London to Redditch, a bit like opposite to what you do now, really. Yeah, sort of
south to north. Almost.
Yeah. I was doing that, but after a few months, I thought, I can't keep doing this. And my wife Paula and I went up for a weekend in Stratford, like a long weekend break. I just fell in love with the place, and so we decided to move up there, and that was say 98, so 26 years ago. So we made, as a family, the move, lock, stock and barrel, up to Stratford upon Avon, and I made the switch from working in the cosmetics industry to working in the fishing tackle industry. But there was also Terry Hale was there, but there was a guy, Dave Benham, who I also worked with at Max Factor back when I was 19, had been hunted down by Terry, and he was working at Leader as well.
That is
so
such
there were three of us working at Leader in like early 2000s. Three of us that were working together in the cosmetics in the late 80s. In the mid 80s.
And Leader were one of the leading.
They were the biggest.
Yeah,
they were the biggest.
massive.
Yeah.
That's
an incredible
such
story.
An awesome.
Yeah,
don't you think though? Like that just shows how every decision you make further down the line has some. Like, what are the chances of Terry Hale picking up the Angling Times, and what are the chances of the fishery owner at Berry Hill coming and getting the picture?
Can you imagine if I hadn't have gone fishing on that particular day? If I thought I fancy a bit of trout fishing. Sorry, Keith, if you're listening.
Yeah,
I fancy a bit of trout fishing. If I hadn't have gone that day, there would have been no front page of the Angling Times. There would have been no probably Terry Hale. I've had a 26-year career in the fishing tackle business. None of that. All my fishing that I've done in the last 26 years, obviously that's a whole other story. None of that would happen, possibly. You just don't know, do you?
It does make you think, doesn't it?
It's the old sliding doors thing, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Just a bit mind-blowing, that, isn't it? How that's all just fell together.
I could go and make us a brew now and bump into a woman who works for the Ginger Men's Modelling Company and a whole new career.
Off you go.
That's what I mean. She could be at the bottom of the corridor
They'd
now.
have no chance, would they?
And if we don't break for a toilet break now, that's not going to happen. So I'm going to call a toilet break now. Unfortunately, lads, she weren't there, so we're going to have to crack on doing the podcast.
Your ginger modelling career's off then?
Yeah, it's not on side.
No,
sorry,
never.
You're stuck with me, I'm afraid.
You never know, though. Might happen tomorrow.
It might do. You never know.
Back onto the fishing side of things then, Si. Working for Leader and your fishing getting serious at the same time.
Yeah.
I know that you started to do a little bit more team fishing very seriously. I mean, when I were coming up, starting match fishing, you were fishing for Starlets. I remember you winning the Division 1 National.
Yeah.
How did that part of your angling career progress?
When I joined Leader, I met Darren Cox. Obviously, became really good mates. Still are amazing, best mates today.
Yeah.
obviously Darren, even at that stage, was a top flight match angler. You know, I pretty much, you know, I was club fishing and then I'd been team fishing with Lewisham Tackle, as I mentioned in the previous years.
There you are, look, the
There
boys.
we are. That was, the Big Dogs Pairs. that was a couple of weeks ago.
Winners?
Retained our title.
Yes.
Yes. Winners 2 years on the trot.
What's that, Meadowlands Pairs?
Meadowlands Pairs. Yeah.
Silverfish?
Silverfish only. One on the deeps, one on Warren.
Where do you go?
Everyone wants to be on the deeps. Where do you think I went?
I reckon he kicks you onto Warren.
Yeah.
Such a selfish
I was on
character,
Warren,
innit?
So that was us retaining our title. The Big Dogs Pairs.
I've seen that picture many a time on Facebook. Darren and Simon fishing
you?
together, winning together. Yeah.
Yeah. We've had
it's
some amazing results.
Popular picture.
Yeah.
So
Anyway, so Daz and I became really good mates.
Mm-hmm.
He lived in Barford at the time, which was only a couple of miles from where I lived in Stratford. And, you know, I was new to the area, didn't know anyone. And he kind of took me under his wing a bit and said, right, I'm going fishing here, I'm going fishing there. And I ended up going on a lot of matches with Darren because I didn't really know what I was going to do or where I was going to go. I wasn't, you know, didn't always go with him because he had other things he was doing that I wasn't involved in. So when he was off doing Starlet stuff, I joined Midi Team Central, like Klaus Fix, and I became good mates with Klaus and, you know, some of the other lads there. We had a good time.
Klaus was like the big weight expert,
Yeah,
weren't
I travelled we fished the Division 2 National on the Stainforth and Keeby Canal.
he?
And Klaus won it.
Did he?
Yeah, he won it. We travelled up there together on that one. And, you know, on the way back, he just won the Division 2 National. And he was, I can't believe I missed those 2 bites off them chub. I can't believe. He literally beating himself up the whole way back, you know. You know, Klaus was unbelievable. Great guy. But he took everything so seriously. I remember, once we were at the NEC and they had, did you ever see that little, like a pond, little loop pond they had?
Yeah.
There were rubber ducks in it, but were fish. You know, so instead of rubber ducks floating around, this pond had a current going around it, and there were like fish with hooks on. It was a game for the people at the show. So you got a little fishing rod with like a hooker duck thing on, and you had a little keep net in front of you, and they'd go all in and start. Say there's about 7 of you on this little match, and it's only as wide as 6 foot wide, and these fish would come floating around. You hook them out and drop them in your keep net. At the end, the person who had the stand at this show, it was at the NEC, would come around and get your fish. Like it would say, and they were they had stickers on the fish that said, you know, roach £2, bream £3, and they'd add them all up, and they'd have a little bit of fun competition.
Yeah, great idea.
Yeah. And one of them I remember said, no license disqualified on it, or something like that. And Klaus had hooked this no license disqualified out. And I'll tell you what, 4 weeks later, he was, I can't believe I got that no license. I can't believe I got that no license. I've never not have a license. He said, Klaus, it's a bit of fun. And I would have won the match if it hadn't been for that no license. It's like, it was a little game. But I fished with Midi Team Central, and we had, you know, a lot of it was bloodworm joker fishing on the canals around Coventry, around then. So I had some, you know, really good matches. That progressed into fishing like woodlands, winter leagues, like teams of 4 winter leagues, and we've
Droitwich, Woodlands View.
Woodland View,
Yeah,
Droitwich, yeah. We had there was an individual bloodworm and joker silverfish league there, and I did really well in that one year. And eventually, I got asked to join Starlets, and that would be about 1999. So about a year after I moved up there. Yeah, got asked to join Starlets. I always remember my first match actually for Starlets.
Right, go on, tell us about that.
It didn't start well. It didn't start well at all.
In what way?
It was only a little. It wasn't a serious match, but it was a Woodland View. I think it was teams of 4 or teams of 5. But that was my first outing for Starlet. So Darren's come around to pick me up. You got everything, mate? You were running a bit late. Rush. Loaded everything in the car. Got off to Woodland View. Right, you're on high pool. I was like, get my gear out of Darren's car. I've got no bloody seat box.
No,
I'd left my seat box in the garage.
How?
God knows.
It's like
Literally, I left my seat box in the garage.
If it were like a rod or
I
a
know.
landing net pole, but
And
a
you're thinking,
seat box.
hang on, I've got like my poles, I've got everything next. Like I haven't got a seat box. So Mike Mason, bless him, at Woodland View, lent me a plastic seat box out of the shop. And I remember, I bought a Discordia and I bought a Plummet and I bought some other stuff. And I think Norman Carpenter was in the tide and he lent me some rigs. He gave me some rigs. So I had to carry a bag of rigs, trotted off to my peg on High Point. It was all shallow fishing at the time. And I can't remember what I had, but it was 18 peg sections and I came 4th in my section on my plastic seat box with my borrowed rigs. But obviously never forget anything like that again. I bet Darren didn't talk about the time he forgot his rod bag, did he?
He's never
When he came
mentioned it.
in? Did he not mention that?
No, definitely not. But
Yeah,
we're
so
gonna talk about it
happens
now.
to the best of us.
Go on, when
And
did
he
you
is
do
the
that?
best of us. He fished a match at Patsell Park, I think it was. And he's left his rod bag at home. He turned up to a sort of feeder match at Patsell Park without his rod bag.
And how did he fish?
Well, I think there were people like Les Thompson, who was with Garbolino at the time. Pete Black was probably there. Right, give me a rod, give me a rod, give me a rod. So he just sort of snagged one of each of the boys' rods. And I think, I can't remember, he ended up winning the match or coming second. Or
Typical Darren.
Yeah. So it wasn't the most auspicious of starts for me at Starlets. But, went on, fished the National on the Leeds-Liverpool Canal earlier the next year. And over the next 8 to 10 years, just had the most amazing... Team fishing at that time was everything. Everything else went on the back burner. We used to go on lineups. I mean, this is at the time when, Angling Times winter leagues were huge. There were I think now, is it, you get 3 out of each division go straight into the final?
So I think some leagues is even 4
Is it
side,
really?
which is, yeah.
Right.
It's
Back in the
totally
day,
different.
in these days, there were 2 teams qualify into a semi-final, and the semi-finals were like big matches.
Winter League semis.
Winter League
I fished a few
semis
of them.
were the biggest sort of, for people that didn't get into the final, that was probably their biggest match of the year.
Yeah.
The semi-final. And the winner could choose where they went, and the runner-up went to the other. There were 2 nominated per region, and the winners of the league would go to, they'd choose, and the runners-up would go to the other venue. But, those brilliant matches they were.
And
I
the
think
final were on the Neen, weren't it?
the final was on the Neen in July, I think.
Yeah.
After the season started.
Yeah.
But the semi-finals were places like Kennet and Avon Canal in March, always in March. Kennet and Avon Canal, Grand Union Canal. And, for the whole of sort of when the Winter Leagues finished, probably January, February, March, all we did was practice for the semi-finals. And just got some great times and great memories from, going on lineups. And often there was, we'd fish all the opens, but there were often lineups. And, you'd go and...
What's a line for people listening who might not know? What would you class as a line?
So,
side?
say with Starlets, there were, say, 14 of us trying to get into a 12-man team, as it was back then. And we would us Starlets lads, would have a little match along a length and we'd just call it a lineup of Starlets anglers. And, obviously, all the other teams would be doing the same sort of thing, but there'd be people on the venue for weeks beforehand, not fishing matches, but just practicing, getting ready for the big day. Great times they were. And obviously we were lucky enough, with Starlets, we had an amazing team, some incredible anglers.
Who were in the squad at that point?
I've probably got some pictures of the, but Mark Downs obviously was the,
I've got this one here.
the big daddy. Oh, that's... There's another story behind that. That's just a little team of 5.
That Census Challenge.
That's a
isn't it,
census
that?
challenge, that one, yeah.
So let me find the. I've got one.
But Downsy were manager.
Downsy were manager.
Yeah.
Um,
Keep wanting to get Downsy on the podcast. I mention it every time. I've mentioned it to him and he's ummed and ahed, so I think we should get him in and do one.
yeah, there's a story behind that picture, by the way.
Is there?
Yeah. When you stick that back up, I'll tell you. I shouldn't really, but
Oh, right. We've got to put that one back
I
up.
think it's
Yeah,
on.
going back
It might
up.
be on the taboo list.
Is
I've
it?
got this one here as well.
Yeah. So I mean, you got like Adi Whittle there, the podcast
Stomach-
gift,
stomach-
podcast gift, calling all shipping.
Stomach puncher.
The stomach puncher.
Yeah.
With on the left hand side, you've got Martin Green there. Is that Mark?
William.
Morris, yeah, Mark Williams,
Mark
Morris's
Williams.
son. Morris is on the far end, the far right. You've got Downsy, Dan Ashington, Dean Cherrington, Joe Roberts, Norm Carpenter. There, me, Darren. Can't see who's behind Darren. Can't see who that is.
Where's Darren?
Darren's right in front of the check.
I don't know who that is.
Sean
Darren.
Ashby, Kean Wardle, Paul, Downsy and Barra, God rest his soul. And Keith Ward, our banker. I can't see who that is behind. It might be. Is that Vince Ganley?
I don't know.
It might be Vince Ganley.
I
Behind
don't know
Darren.
him.
You can see where me and Darren are at the front there.
Yeah.
I think that's Vince Ganley.
Some
Or is it
team
might be
saying
Rob.
it.
Yeah, hell of a turn. We look at, Sean Ashby,
Yeah.
Paul Dan, what a legend. I tell you what, Paul would be good for a podcast.
Yeah, he would, wouldn't he?
He's got some stories, amazing stories. But yeah, we had an amazing team. I mean, and with Starlets, we won. We had a great team of that day, back in the day. There was obviously yourselves with Barnsley. Dorking were very, very strong.
Powerful.
We were strong. And I think it was shortly after the Essex domination. Essex dominated before that time, I think. But during that time, there was pretty much, Starlets, Dorking, Barnsley were all equally capable of winning, these big events. And we were fortunate. I mean, we won 3 Division 1 nationals, 3 Winter League finals, Super League final. Obviously, went on to the World Club Champs, stuff like that. I personally fished in 2 Winter League final wins we'd had and 2 Division 1 national wins. So, yeah, great times. And a brilliant team. And I haven't been involved for quite a few years now with Starlets, but I'm not sure it's the same now anyway, team fishing. I'm not sure it's the same.
What do you think is different about it, and what do you think caused the change, Si?
It's difficult to say. I mean, I think a lot of it's down to all the big money individual matches now. I think a lot of anglers coming in, like your really good quality anglers, want to fish individually for big money matches. You've got some incredible anglers. You just look at recent winners like, Matty Dawes, Fishermania winners, Christian Jones, just amazing anglers, but all they want to do, Andy Power, what a man, but they just want to fish these individual big money qualifiers. Jamie Hughes, Andy Bennett, the list is some phenomenal anglers, but not anglers you associate with the big team kind of arena.
None of them you've just mentioned really fish seriously for a team, do they?
No.
None
but,
of them.
You look back in that day and all your Sean Ashby's and the like, Steve Hemingway, well, obviously he's not in those, but, yourself, it's sort of, a lot of the big name anglers were team anglers back in that day.
Do you think the rise of the big finals is back then, if them guys who were in that photo then could fish for 50 grand in fish show, 60 grand in match this, 50 grand in golden reel and feeder masters, and do you think that maybe if that had have happened earlier, team fishing would have broken up a little bit earlier?
Maybe. Was that the catalyst for team fishing breaking up a bit? I don't know. But, interestingly, a lot of the guys, like yourself and that you're still involved at the world level. You still want to fish team. Barnsley now are streets ahead of every other team. Let's be honest. Barnsley haven't got the competition now.
No.
That you had back then. Barnsley, Starlets, Dorking kind of dominated the scene back then. But pretty much now Barnsley dominate everything team-wise. They really do.
But I'm looking at Division 1 National. I mean, I don't know what year it was, you can tell me, but I've got in my notes here that when Starlets won the one on the Grand Union Canal, which we'll come on to, there was over 80 teams in it then. That
was the last ever teams of 12.
And it's teams of 12?
Teams of 12 national, 2005.
Is that when it was, 2005?
Grand Union Canal, Milton Keynes. I remember it so well because obviously for me personally, a double gold. I won it individually, national champion.
There we go.
And Starlets won it as a team. You can't get better, on a domestic front than that. It's just incredible.
And how long did you fish for Starlets at that point?
About 5 years.
Right, so well-established team member.
Yeah. It was a Martin Green masterpiece, that was.
Go on, tell us a little bit about that, because it's quite a special national.
Well, Greenie was living in Milton Keynes. He knew, every peg. Put us on a method that was... I wouldn't say unbeatable because nothing is, but he really had it sorted. Really, really had it sorted.
Can we talk about the method? Can you tell us a little, what were the crack out of curiosity?
The main thing was we were feeding ground bait with virtually nothing in it, like some cases literally nothing in it, or a couple of dead red maggots. And he knew that the bream or big skimmers in every peg, and they were all throughout the length, would feed really early on. Excuse me. And the best way to catch them was by feeding some ground bait to get them in, but all there was your hook bait. And I think on that day, I can't remember, but say out of the 12 of us, I reckon in the first 10 minutes, bearing in mind that any skimmer is gold dust, I reckon 10 of us caught a skimmer in the first 10 minutes.
Never.
On Greenie's special method.
That is a method.
It honestly was. It's amazing when I got to my peg. I drew at the the Proud Perch end. I don't know if you know that bit.
Don't know the canal at all.
And I was walking from the bridge back to my peg, and I was end peg in the National. But I was walking along, and again, there's a picture of my peg, of my catch shot on this, and you can see from the peg, they're completely featureless. But I was walking past overhanging trees, boats, and everything. I was walking up with Dan Varney, who was pegged inside me, and it was like, oh, he said, I can't believe you're going to be end peg with all these bloody features. Oh, it's amazing. And we kept walking. In the distance, you could see just this blank field, like nothing, like a brick wall up by it, and it was like, it's not going to be up there. We'd walk for a mile, like about a mile or something. And anyway, I got to my peg was the first peg on the match length.
Is that one there?
That's it there.
Yeah.
That's the one, Tabes, yeah. And that you can see from now. Bearing in mind, coming from the left as you look, there were literally overhanging trees, willow bushes, boats, and everything. Got to that, and all there was a cattle drink, and there was a shoal of cattle. They're not called a shoal, are they? But
we'll start a new phase.
A shoal of cattle opposite.
Shoal of cows.
Drinking in. When I plumbed that peg up, it was literally, I got to about 8 metres. It was like 4 foot deep at 8 metres. And at 8.5 metres, it was 10 inches deep.
Never.
It was like a brick wall. Literally, just like a brick wall. And I thought, bloody hell, can't fish in 10 inches of depth. So I had lines at 8 metres against this wall, sort of, there, because I was MPEG, I was, went down to the left.
Yeah.
And I had about 3 different lines. And I reckon in the first hour, I've caught big skimmers off every single line. It was
on the greenie method.
Yeah.
Potting in ground.
Yeah, on the greenie method. It was unbelievable. £24, and obviously won the match that day. Look quite pleased, don't I? With
I
myself,
would do.
yeah.
I mean, work that maths out. 80. Say it was 83 teams of 12 Tobes. How many anglers is that? 1,000 anglers nearly, or over 1,000.
Not quite 1,000.
My
Yeah,
mental
but
maths isn't that good.
yeah.
Biggest match of the country. I mean, the Division 1 National still is the biggest match
Yeah.
of the country, I think, numbers wise.
Yeah. But back then, don't forget also, not only did you have
996.
996.
900. That's a big match.
That's mental.
That's
That
a
isn't
big
it?
match,
Wow.
yeah.
Biggest match you've ever won, Si?
Oh,
Numbers-wise.
numbers, yeah. Oh, I'll never touch that. Doubt there'll ever be probably a match that size again.
No.
But yeah, to win that, obviously, I mean, I've sat myself on a screamer and taken advantage. But the most important thing in all these things is the team. The team winning, because you imagine having an individual result like that. You can't really celebrate it unless the rest of the boys that you sort of spend your life with, practicing with, and all the rest of it for us to all come away with gold medals that day was incredible.
Awesome result.
Yeah, so it was amazing. Yeah.
And there's I've got a nice picture, I think, Tobes. They won a Billy Knott handing Si a load of cash. Did you used to do separate bets then?
Yeah.
So did you used to be able to back yourself to win?
Yeah, so I had the maximum bet with Billy Knott, and that was the cash on top of your national winnings.
Right.
There you go.
That's a great photo, that, isn't it?
Poor old Bill, yeah. Bless him.
That's a right wedge of cash. How much is there?
I won over. It was neck end of $5,000.
Wow.
Neck end of $5,000. Yeah.
How did that used to work? This side bets with the bookies then, Si? Because that doesn't happen
No,
now.
it doesn't. But it used to be a thing then. Everyone did it.
Right.
Every national you ever went in, you could have Billy Knott. I don't know if it was just Bill that did it, but there used to be. It'd have literally a board, and you had set prices. So any individual angler got 20 to 1. I can't remember, Matt, to be honest, but any individual angler could get 20 to 1, and he had a maximum bet. I can't remember what it was, like 20 quid each way or whatever. No, the odds must have been higher. I can't remember, but yeah, it was a thing in nationals back in the day.
So you could just back yourself to win the
just
match.
back yourself, maximum bet. You've got nothing to lose. Well, you have. You got your stake to lose.
Yeah.
But for the potential rewards, got my little gold medal there and behind my thumb.
Absolutely awesome.
Yeah, Bill was playing up to the crowd. Obviously, I reckon there's however many nationals there ever been that he's paid out on. There's a picture like that for every one of them. So.
Fantastic.
I tell you what, Matt, that should be the thumbnail for the podcast, shouldn't it?
Yeah, it should be.
That'd be
definitely.
good, that, wouldn't it?
He'd probably come on a podcast as
Yeah.
well, Billy Knott. He'd do a good one, wouldn't he? Definitely.
So
amazing. You mentioned World Club Champs, Si. Obviously,
Yeah.
national winners often went to fish the World
Yeah.
Club Champs. Did you ever go down that route with
Um,
Starlets as a team, or did I don't know, you're fishing with the team that's managed by the England manager. Did fishing for England at that stage ever cross your mind or path?
No, fishing for England never crossed my mind at all. No, you know, the I sort of fairly recently into it all, even at this stage, you know, and it never occurred to me. You know, I've got young family growing up, time and all the rest of it, even going on the World Club Champs. You know, I did get asked to go on the World Club Champs. It may have been after that one, may have been after the one after. And I was van loaded, ready to go, loads and loads of prep to where we were going. And I was picking Downsy up, Mark Downs. And I think the plan was I was picking up at about 5 o'clock in the morning, and we were driving off down to Dover to catch the ferry. And my daughter became quite ill that night and ended up in hospital.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it was I'm in hospital with my wife and my daughter Alice. And thinking it was like 2 o'clock in the morning, thinking I've got to pick Downsy up and travel to Dover in like a couple of hours. And, you know, I couldn't do it. You know, family, whatever is happening in life has got to come first. So I remember having to make the phone call to Mark at 3 o'clock in the morning, woke him up, explained the situation, said, Mark, I can't come. So that was my, you know, one chance. That would have been my first taste of fishing abroad and, you know, on a match anyway. And, yeah, it didn't happen. And I kind of stepped back from it a bit after that. Didn't feel comfortable, you know, putting myself forward. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't have got in the team anyway. We had such a good array of anglers. I mean, you know, we had top international anglers, and you were talking about a squad of 5, I think, was it, for World Club Champs? 6 maybe. 6 going, 5 fishing.
That's what it is, yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't consider myself anywhere near the top 5 anglers in the Starlet squad. And it's, so yeah, no, it wasn't something I ever really got into. But, you know, I was always still part of the Starlet's, you know, bigger squad. And I say we had some amazing results and really, really enjoyed it. So I had a great time with them.
Good. Did you, I mean, I can't ever remember it, but how did you sort of step away from fishing with that team side? And I can never remember you going, I'm quitting the Starlet.
You just sort of drift away. You know, I think it was at the time team fishing was kind of dying off anyway. And it was at the time the other, you know, the bigger money matches started coming on. I started entering a few of the, you know, the bigger money matches, wanting to do, you know, go off and do my own thing. I couldn't devote a lot of time to it because of the kids growing up, and I didn't want to be, you know, fishing every Saturday and every Sunday and missing out on the kids growing up. You know, I've got amazing memories of taking the kids swimming every Sunday and going off doing lots of stuff. And, you know, like Whiteacres is another thing. I mean, you know, phenomenal. You know, I'm sure every match angler you get on here, and Tobes must, hear it all the time. Whiteacres plays a huge part in it all.
Massive.
It did with us as well. You know, and when the kids were growing up, we used to go down to Whiteacres, and I'd take them down there. And I don't know, just the thought of doing other things. Yeah, not on my radar at that time.
It feels to me, and obviously knowing you and speaking to you, you've always had a real nice balance of good fishing and highly competitive fishing in big events, but a real good family balance as well. What's the key to striking that side? Because undoubtedly some people in fishing don't have that balance.
Yeah. I've always, I mean, I mentioned Whiteacres, just for example. You know, when Charlie, bless him, on there.
Look at him. That's the gang, innit?
Wow. I need to use more sun cream. That picture, the colours have come up odd on that one. I've never seen it look like that before.
I reckon Toby's done you a kipper there.
Well, I had to sort out the ginger hair from earlier. So
the ginger hair's well and truly gone there, Tobes. So, wow. When Charlie was born in January, and on the April of that year, we were at Whiteacres. So he's been going to Whiteacres from, you know, like...
And how old is he now?
From birth, 19.
Wow.
19. But, you know, when I say he's been going, we went for a large number of years. And it was back in the day, again, you could take the kids out of school. So we used to take the kids out of school for the April festival. And again, for the October festivals, we'd take them out twice a year. You couldn't do it now.
You get done, wouldn't you?
You would do, yeah, you get fined. But back then, I mean, and don't get me wrong, we used to make our kids do like a project. We'd take them to Dairyland and do a project, and they'd go back to school and talk about it. And secretly, the teachers would say to us, yeah, that's amazing. The kids have done a project on Dairyland and how to milk a cow and all this, whatever it was. And they probably had more life experience and a great educational experience coming away with us.
Yeah.
And, it was a holiday, let's be honest. But it was kind of dressed up like that. But along with Darren's family, Darren Cox's family, and Jason Lebosque's family,
Yeah.
all our kids were the same sort of age. They're all in their like 20s now. But from, crikey, when they were like toddlers, before they could walk, we were all, and they grew up all going to Whiteacres together.
Wow.
And still now we're all great friends as a family. Like we meet up once a year with the Fryers and the Lebosques and the Coxes all meet up and have a great time every year. Went to Chatsworth Market again. I've got a picture of the
Oh,
all the
mega.
family. That one there. Look at that. Look, that's as toddlers. We all used to be at Whiteacres together, and that's the families now.
Absolutely
So,
awesome. So you
that
and
was
Darren
last
and
year.
Jason used to fish the festival?
Yeah, we used to fish the festivals.
The kids would go to the
girls,
beach.
the girls and the kids would all go out together and do their stuff. And again, I got some amazing pictures of the kids growing up. And one of my favourite is of three of the girls all buried in the sand,
Nice.
up their heads, like laughing their heads off. It's just an amazing picture. I think there's a couple of boyfriends in that picture
Yeah.
as well. But yeah, just love it.
Isn't it great that fishing
Yeah.
can bring
And that's been
families
brought
together?
about purely from fishing.
Yeah.
You got three families there that have grown up together.
Yeah.
Amazing, yeah.
It's incredible.
yeah.
that.
It is really,
Fabulous.
It really
it's
is.
quite special, isn't it? I mean,
And literally, when the kids were, before they could walk, they were all together like
Yeah.
that. But down in Cornwall at Whiteacres.
and when you first went to Whiteacres, am I right in thinking you didn't even go for the fishing?
I used to go to Whiteacres before I even fished. Yeah, I mean the lads that I went with were anglers, and I used to go with them, stay with them, and go to the draw with them in the morning. I'd then go off surfing for the day because we were down. Nuki's got some of the best surf in the UK, and they would all go off fish the festivals.
Never.
I'd surf all day. They were fishing the festivals. I'd come back, like watch the weigh and help with the weigh-in sometimes. And they'd all be in the bar afterwards talking about, I've had this carp and that bream and this, and I'd be saying, I've caught this barrel and I've gone off the top here and I've caught this wave. And I remember one of them saying to me once, one day you'll come fishing on these festivals. And I can remember saying, the day I want to come and fish a festival, shoot me.
Never.
Yeah. I said, I'll be surfing forever. And obviously, life catches you up.
Did you go and fish some festivals?
Yeah, I fished a few festivals. I've fished a few festivals in my time. And I've had some, like probably from, early 2000s, I started going actually fishing at Whiteacres. But when I used to go down there, not fish, the festivals were, I think they were like 4-day festivals. You'd have fish Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday was off, and then you'd fish Thursday, Friday. So it's going back a long time.
I can never remember that
No,
format.
yeah, that's the format they used to be in. So yeah, I'll go back with Whiteacres a long way.
Did you win a festival at
No,
Whiteacres, Si?
never won one.
But framed in a few. I remember you
I've
framing.
been close. I've been second a couple of 3 times.
Yeah.
I've had a few thirds and a few fourths. I mean, one festival particularly, I remember I went back to back. The only time I've ever done back to back, I did. I think it was the I can't remember what it's called, like the Bait Tech and the Milo or the Keynets or whatever.
In the springtime.
In the spring, yeah. The first week, I think I had 4 section wins and a second, and I came 4th overall.
No.
4th, yeah. I mean, I remember Darren. He had 5 section wins and came second. He got beaten, I think, by Mark Lucas on weight. So you really had to be on top of your game. But I was 4th the first week. The second week, Darren came down, a few of the others, and I'd had an amazing week. Was lying in sort of pole position, and I drew on the last day 14 on Twin Oaks.
Nice.
Lovely peg. What a peg. What a peg. Until who rocks up on 16? The best peg in Cornwall.
Go on.
Darren. Darren Cox, travelling partner and all that. So I'm thinking, oh, bloody hell, And if I won the section that day, I'd have won the festival. But Darren was also in the position, if he won the section, he would win the festival.
So you got two best friends next
to each other, both going for a festival win.
That doesn't happen very often.
No. And Darren will admit to you, I was ahead of him the whole match, like right up. I mean, at one point I was probably 7 or 8 fish ahead of him, but he's like a man possessed. When you go into that last hour, feeding down the edge, looking for edge fish, and I'm sort of watching him thinking, of all the people I didn't want next to me, and I think he had 3 fish, big carp, in the last 5 minutes. And I've never seen anyone get them out so quickly and like refeed and get back down. And I think he had 143 pounds and I had 140. Oh. So he beat me by £3, which, fair play, won the festival.
Yeah.
And if I can't win one, no one I want, I'd rather win one than him.
Yeah.
And I was 4th. So I had 4th back to back. 2 weeks running, I had 4th, but picked up quite a bit of money. More than paid for the holiday. So it was and obviously, Coxey's won the festival, and I think he's won a couple since as well.
I miss White. When I hear you talk about White, I sort of miss it. It doesn't seem to be the same.
No, I haven't been for a couple of years.
No.
Obviously, Garbolino sponsor a winter festival there. And that's the last time I went, was not this year, but the previous year. They're really good festivals.
Yeah, I've been on that one a few times. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Start of December, in it? First week of December?
Last week in November or first week in December, maybe overlapping.
Yeah.
They're really good. Really,
Interesting.
Really good. Yeah, and that used to be a silverfish festival, but there's so many F1s there now.
You've got to allow them, haven't you?
You've got to, yeah. But they get some crazy weights now.
Yeah.
£100 plus weights of F1s.
And they're massive, some of them, aren't
some of them like £5-6, some of them. Phenomenal fishing.
Did you ever fish the Park Dean finals, in your time at Whiteacres?
Yeah, I've been in about 5 Park Dean finals. And close call one year, or second one year.
Which year were that? Who won?
I think it was 2005 or 4.
Right.
Ben Leach won it.
Yeah.
Ben doesn't fish anymore. He plays golf. Another golfer. Another fisherman gone golfing.
Yeah.
There's a few.
Great angler, Ben were.
I think he's a good golfer as well.
Is he?
I think he's a very good golfer.
One of them.
He's one of those people that will be annoying good at everything he does.
Yeah.
Great looking guy as well.
Don't say that. He's probably listening.
But yeah. So Ben Leach won it. I was second. I think I was £9 behind him, something like that. So a little bit of a way. But yeah, no, that's our second 25 grand winner take all. Oh. And there were no £1,000 runners up, section prizes, nothing. So I literally got nothing.
It's an harsh one, that, isn't it?
Yeah, it is
harsh.
What it is. You know the game before you start, don't you? That's the time I've been second. The other times I've been literally nowhere.
What's interesting listening to you say, and I've told you this before, and I've spoke about it on podcasts before, but I have so much respect for people who do loads of different kinds of fishing, and just talking about your serious fishing so far, you're fishing for starlets, team matches, rivers, canals, doing some commercial fishing as well. And the event that sort of sums it up for me is the Drennan Knockout Cup.
Yeah. That was a great event.
An amazing event.
Yeah.
I'd love for something like that to happen again, because
incredible.
That for me was the epitome of an all-round event where you needed to be able to do everything, and it was a knockout, so you didn't necessarily have to win, but it rewarded consistency.
Yeah, you used to have to get into the top half of the match.
Yes.
Or whatever it was, it would go like 64 down to 32, down to 16, 8, 4, 2 in the final.
And you,
as it used to be,
won that event.
Yeah, I won it in 2009. So yeah,
I always remember the front cover of Match Fishing.
Yeah,
I always remember it. Yeah. And what was that like? What did that mean to you as an all-round angler to win that particular one?
Phenomenal competition to win. I mean, that's for me then as an all-rounder, like you've just said, it was one of the best all-round events there was. I still think it is actually. Still one of the best. I think the first round would be at Packington that year, commercial fishery.
Yeah.
Can't remember where I finished, but obviously got through. I think the second round might have been on the Thames, on a river. So, £26 I think I had on the Thames, got through.
Beautiful.
There might have been another round, I can't remember. I'm trying to think, it would come to me. And then the quarter final was on the Kennet and Avon Canal at somewhere near Devizes.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of it. And it was fishing with 1, 2, 3 metre whips, ground bait and squats for tiny, tiny fish. You know, I caught nothing bigger than 1.5 ounces. And I came second in that match to... Who won it? Can't remember.
I can't remember off the top of my head.
No. I know I could think about who won it. Ian Didcott was on it. Michael Buttwilder. Bud won it.
Yeah.
Bud won it. Yeah. Bud was first. I was second. I think Clint Elliott was third and Ian Didcott fourth. So that then formed the semi-final. Now, bear in mind that quarter-final was on a canal fishing ground bait and squats. I think I had 460 fish for like £14. £14. You know, like, so nothing bigger than 1.5 ounces. The next round, the very next round, Boddington, fishing for carp on steroids. You know, I qualified for the final, obviously, with Diddy, and I had 220 odd pound of, you know, monster carp on pellet, waggler and bomb. So you've gone from fishing squats on a whip, little whip, catching tiny, tiny fish, but 400 fish, to the next round, catching double-figure carp on a pellet, waggler and bomb.
How can we get that event going again?
It was amazing.
Yeah.
You know, and then the final back then was on the Wye, the River Wye first day, and the second day on Docklow, which is a kind of like a commercial fishery, but not really like a commercial fishery. It's sort of like as natural a commercial fishery as you can imagine. You know, there was chub on the Waggler, you catch chub in there, roach, bream, carp obviously as well. And so myself and Ian Didcott in the final.
How did the final go for you? I can't remember the result.
The final,
I know you won clearly, but I can't remember what happened between yourselves.
So on the first day was on the Wye, and I had Ady Whittle was running the bank for me. My
Not
good
a bad
old mate.
bank runner, that.
Still hasn't got a podcast gift. calling all shipping, calling Adrian Whittle. So Ady was my bank runner. This is back 2009. I had him for a couple of days coaching because I figure, why not get the best? And for me, Ady Whittle, was the best on the Wye. I didn't really know the Wye at all, so I thought I've got a final on the Wye. I had him for a couple of days, learning how to, whip fish for dace to hand and all that kind of stuff. Flat float fishing for big perch down the inside, big stick fishing for roach, all that kind of stuff. Bollo fishing, a lot of fish on the bollo, which I love that. 15-foot bollo rod, 2/3 across, catching dace, odd chub.
Awesome
fantastic
sport.
Fishing. I mean, the Wye, what a venue the Wye is. Now, you could do a whole other podcast just on the Wye. And the trouble with fishing on the Wye on a 2-peg match is that you've got one downstream end peg and one not downstream end peg.
Yeah, I never thought about that.
And
you bang next to each other.
We're bang next to each other, peg for peg. So it's not, you haven't even got a blank peg. So Diddy was on the downstream end peg. I mean, he's a brilliant angler on that sort of stuff. He was, I think, about £11 ahead of me on day one. So nothing really. When you go into a commercial fishery where you can potentially catch £80, £90, £11, maybe 10% of what you could catch the following day.
Yeah.
There were 2 pegs. We knew what the pegs were at Docklow. So there was an open water peg and an island peg. And in the pub the night before, because you all stayed in the pub at Docklow, and the night before we're all together. Grant ran the bank for me on day 2. Grant Albert, so you've had him as well.
He's been on.
So he's been a great mate of mine for years. Grant was one of the first people I ever met when I moved up here.
Really?
Yeah. Going to Woodland View and Moorlands and places like that. And Grant, we're great mates for 20
monkey
years.
At the back, isn't it?
Yeah, that's Grant's monkey.
Yeah.
He's fell off.
Yeah.
Monkey.
Yeah,
Loved Grant's podcast.
Yeah,
Absolutely awesome.
No, I did. I mean, to say Grant, I met Grant, literally, Grant and Richie Hull, I think, other than Darren, who I met at work, the first kind of anglers out on the bank I met, Grant and Richie Hull. And that, I didn't know the area, didn't know anything, didn't know anyone. They straight over, all right, mate, not seen you before, have I? Let's buy you a cup of tea. And just hit it off straight away. I've been great mates with them both ever since.
Nice.
26 years ago that was. A great thing about fishing as well, you kind of form those friendships that just don't go anywhere. How did I get Grant? Right, yeah. So he was bank running for me at Docklow on day 2. So in the pub the night before, match fishing. Dave Harrell was the editor then, And he was interviewing myself and Diddy. What peg do you want to draw then? What peg? And Diddy was, I want to draw the open water peg. And I was thinking, I want to draw the island peg. So, you know, he made quite a big thing about it. You know, like before the match, Diddy's after the open water peg, Sci-Fry's after the island peg. Because we could have drawn the opposite pegs.
Was this on the Mickey Mouse Lake?
Yeah.
Got you.
Yeah.
I think I know the two
Yeah,
pegs.
yeah.
Is the island peg the one with the hump in it?
Pass.
I think I know where you are. I think I know where you mean.
The island peg was to the right. So as the angler, you'd sit in it and the island was just like at 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
And the open water peg was a better kind of waggler. There were lots of chub.
Yes.
Lots of chub. Big roach. And the island, you had to pray the fish were going to be there.
Yeah.
But for me, being behind, I wanted to take my chance on the island. Diddy, he was the angler in front. He desperately wanted to be in the open water peg. Anyway, we did the draw the night before. Diddy's drawn the open water peg. I've drawn the island. So we're both where we wanted to be.
Interesting final.
Yeah. So it was really the weather was horrendous. It was just stair rods, rained really, really heavily. Like just incredible amount of rain. And Diddy went off like a steam train catching. Mine was very slow to start. And at one point, Grant reckoned he was probably £20 ahead of me on day 2. So therefore, £30 ahead of me overall. I kept plugging away. We were fishing this. I was fishing this. Like meat pushed through riddles. So we'd cube it and then ram it through 2 riddles. So you get this almost like minced meat, and
Like a mush.
Mush, meat mush. Exactly. Yeah. We're feeding meat mush and fishing cubes of meat on the hook. And about halfway through the match, I've had my first carp. Thinking, right, come on then. If I go in next chuck and there's one there, this could be good. Gone in next chuck, boom, got one. Shipping it back, and it was pouring down with rain. And when your pole sections get stuck, I was really getting angry with my pole because I couldn't get my pole apart. And so I sort of thought, stuck it, so it wasn't quite on properly. Didn't think I'd caught this carp, shipped it out again. Next chuck, I've hooked another carp, gone to ship back, and the whole of my pole, 13 metres, I'm holding a 14.5 metre section, the whole of the pole shot off across the lake.
No.
Yeah. And a carp has started towing my pole around the island. It's quite a big island.
It's a big lake.
Yeah. And I could see my pole disappearing in the back. I'm thinking, bloody hell. Like, adrenaline knockout cut. I'm just starting to mount a comeback. Diddy's probably, he was £30 ahead. He's probably like £10 ahead now. I've caught a bit back. My pole's disappeared up the lake.
That's like a bad dream.
It's like a bad dream. It was like a bad dream. And I've got another pole in my bag. So I thought, I have to stop. So I've gone in my bag, got my spare pole out, started putting it together. As I was doing that, I could see my pole swimming back towards me. Literally, the carp had turned around and was swimming towards my bank. And it started, my pole tipped first. It turned the whole thing round like a sort of big ship, like doing a turn. And it started, and
Like a
it's
surfboard.
like a surfboard coming back through the way. So it started swimming back to me, and I thought, it's getting nearer and nearer. And I'm still setting my pole up, but I'm now really not paying attention to setting my pole up. I'm looking at the pole swim back, and it got to within landing net. Right, so I got my landing net handle out. I grabbed like the tip of the pole, swung it in, got the tip in one hand, got the number 4 section of the pole in the other hand. I'm thinking I've got a fish. The fish is still on, so I'm playing a fish with this hand. I've got the number 4 section, which has got 30 metres of pole attached.
And that's all in the water.
It's all in the water. So I'm on one hand keeping this fish under control. Next time I'm sort of slowly pulling the pole up, trying not to lift it out so it doesn't break. And eventually, anyway, I've managed to get both out. I've got the fish out, got my pole out. Started with this carp was about £10.
No.
Netted it, yeah, seriously. And it's all there's a YouTube video on this somewhere. And
I'm on it.
Drennan Knockout Cup 2009 day 2.
That'd be on Match Fishing.
Yeah. Match Fishing Magazine's YouTube channel, yeah. And anyway, so I got my pole up, and then all my spare top kits are laid out on the bank beside of me, and this goose has flapped out of the water where all this commotion had gone, and landed on my top kits and smashed all my top kits to smithereens.
No.
Yeah. You couldn't
You've
make
had
it.
a
You
Western,
couldn't make
haven't
it.
you?
I've had an absolute. It's the biggest nightmare of a match I've ever had in my life. 5 or 6 top kits smashed to smithereens by this goose going through these top kits, And this, the goose has taken off fine. It's not a problem. I've got, bits of top kits. So, like the magic wands that are these sort of concertina magic wands there. And I think I ended up with 2 rigs. But by then the peg was solid. And I've gone back in. I've just caught a carper chuck to the end. And I think, I can't remember what weighed, £120.
And how did you end up overall? What were the different?
I can't remember. But it will be in one of those magazine pictures. Yeah. Maybe £20 a head.
Amazing.
But obviously won the Drennan Knockout Cup, even with that complete and utter disaster of a match.
Doesn't it just show when
you couldn't
your
make it
name's
up.
on it?
Yeah, you
something
couldn't
like
make it
that.
up. Yeah.
Awesome, Si. I never knew that you had a mare. I never knew about that side of that competition or match at all.
Yeah.
Have you found it, Tobe?
Found this. Does this look like the right one?
Yeah, that's yeah.
Is that the one?
Yeah.
Trying to find where we match for Grant.
Grant.
Yeah.
God, you look at Grant there. He looks about 12.
Yeah, it'd be going back away before that. That's me
Is
there.
that you fishing long to
Yeah,
the
that's
island?
me fishing to the island. There's a picture somewhere of that's it there.
That's it.
So
Look at that.
that's me.
No!
See, if you just go back a bit to that where you were a minute ago, you had it, Tobe. There. That's me with my landing net. I said I've reached in to get the pole. That's me reaching in with my landing net handle to grab my pole that's been towed by a carp. So,
Can't believe you got that back and out.
yeah,
and...
got it out and the fish.
Yeah.
And the fish.
Wow.
Yeah.
I like the roller arrangement, Si. There,
great, isn't it?
3
Yeah.
different rollers
Yeah.
going up the bank. I like that.
Yeah.
Amazing. What a competition to win, though.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, it was a great competition. Loved it. I think a lot of people would like to see that back.
Yeah,
a lot
they
of people
would.
would like to see it back.
It'd be interesting to see what sort of attention it got if we brought that back nowadays, with the sort of all-round capabilities of it. Definitely. While we're talking about a little bit of commercial fishing, so obviously we've come away from team fishing, spoke about Whiteacres Knockout Cup. You've done a lot of commercial fishing. When the surge of big money finals sort of hit the circuit, did they catch your attention, and did you ever have a campaign for things like the Match This, Fishermania, Golden Reel?
Yeah, I mean, I first got in the Fishermania final 2012. I was in that when Warren Martin won it in 2012.
Yeah.
I got back in the Fishermania final. That was at the 2012 was at Cubmore. Was it Cubmore? Yeah. And then I got back in the Fishermania final in 2019. That was at Hayfield. By then it had moved to Hayfield. And Mave Match This, I was in the final in 2016 or 17, I can't remember. So yeah, during that period, and obviously some Park Dean finals during that time as well. So yeah, I had a bit of a little spurt of looking at trying to qualify for these matches. It can be a bit of a struggle, when you can go on. Oh, crikey! I mean, if you have a proper campaign, it can be soul destroying if you're not drawing. And to be honest with you, I had a couple of years where I didn't do any good at all, and I kind of started playing a bit of golf, and it kind of disillusioned me with the whole thing.
Really?
Yeah. I sort of, I never packed in fishing, other than that 10-year period when I was 18, when I was surfing mad. But I kind of eased back off it quite a bit around that sort of when I had a bad year, but came back with a vengeance. It really kind of refueled my enthusiasm. But
what do you think it is about them kind of matches that have that sort of lull? Or give you that little bit of a...
The trouble, it depends how you approach them. If you approach them to try and qualify, which, let's be honest, why else would you do them? But I think a lot of people, they go in for them thinking, if they draw a peg where you can't win from there, but you can have a really nice day's fishing. They go, right, can have a really nice day's fishing, win my section. I always think, no, if it's a Mave Match This or a Fishermania, I've got to win the match. Wherever I draw, I'm going to fish to win the match. If it's a Feeder Masters or a Feeder King or Riverfest, you've got to win a 20 peg zone. So I don't have to win the match, but I still have to try and win this little 20 peg match. And I'm going to do what's needed to try and win. So if you go on matches like, where you've got to win 100, 120 peg, whatever, 80 peg match, whatever it is, you might be knackering up a decent peg. But I'd rather do that and bomb out and give myself a chance to qualify rather than thinking, oh, I've had a lovely day. I've caught £50 and I've won my section. Doesn't mean anything, apart from your 50 quid at the end of it. So as a result of that, if you draw these sort of fairly average pegs for a period, you can, and you go for gonk, it can kind of, blow your mind a bit.
You're fishing to win. Would you say that's your mentality in match fishing, Si? Or do you fish positive?
It depends. Generally, if I'm on an open or I'm on a qualifier, 100% definitely yes. If you're on a team match where you've got your teammates to think about, and, if you draw in a section where in a team match you've got a good chance of coming halfway in a section, I think it'd be irresponsible to try and win that section if you're going to potentially blow out. So, it just depends on the circumstances, definitely.
Do you think there's a big difference between the team fishing mentality and individual? Do you think it's almost like a different style?
Yeah,
in
it's
sport?
completely different. I think if you're on the individual big money qualifying trail, you've got to try and qualify. What's the point in doing them otherwise? That's my own view.
Yeah.
That's not to say that's, it's not to say that's right or wrong, because some people just want to have a nice day. If they get one day a weekend, even if it is a big qualifier, they might want to sort of consolidate and try and win a section. But for me, I'm there to try and qualify. So, I've been fortunate over the years in lots of different things to get in a few different finals. So, and that's by adopting that kind of attitude, I think. Yeah.
Interesting. You've been in an awful lot of finals. I mean, Si sent me, for those listening, you've got a nice little sort of CV where you write your results down. If we talked about every single final you've been in, Si, podcast would be longer than Jan van Gendel's. It'd be 12 weeks long. But one thing that is obvious is you've qualified for an awful lot. Feeder Masters, Feeder King, Riverfest, Maven Match This, Fishermania, so many different ones. And there's an awful lot of people out there that will be listening to this that want to have a go at these qualifiers and finals, or maybe are doing but aren't getting the results they want. As someone who's been in a lot of them and won them, what advice would you give to someone whose sort of mission and goal is to get into a final?
Well, give it a go. You've got to give it a go. But my advice would be try and do what you need to do to qualify. Because if you want to get into a final, and for a lot of people, that's the aim. They want to get in the final. It's a big achievement. Any of these, I list them on my sort of list of achievements because to get into the finals is an achievement.
A massive achievement. I agree.
Yeah. But you've got to give yourself a chance. And if it means you blow out, I mean, you speak to, Steve Ringer about his sort of early Fishermania days. I know he used to get into Fishermania finals for fun, but would have loads and loads of matches where it's like, like a proper ball late going home because he's been in the wrong area. Lots of people that are in those, even someone like Jamie Hughes, he qualifies every year. I think he's qualified, is it 12 years running?
Yeah, something
Fishermania.
Ridiculous. Yeah.
But he doesn't always qualify early on, and he might go 5 or 6 matches where he's caught not a lot, but he's going to give it his all to try and qualify, and, by God, he normally does, because he's, qualities beyond sort of compare. But I think the advice I would give anyone is if you're determined to get into a final, give it a go. Find out what you need to do to, if it's a Fishermania or a Maven Match this, win the match and go for it. If you blow out, you blow out. It doesn't matter. Don't have a nice day's fishing and have regrets after, if I'd have gone for that a bit, I could have qualified, because you haven't gone for it. So, yeah, that's what I'd say. And obviously, if you're on the Feeder Masters, Feeder King, Riverfest route, think about what you've got to do seriously to try and win that zone. I said, look at it as like a 20 peg match. Forget the rest of the match. Just look at your zone. Forget everything else. Oh, I'm not in the best area. Doesn't matter. Just try and win that zone. But yeah, I think you've got to go for it.
It's a mindset thing. It's interesting.
It's a mindset thing. I think it is. Yeah, and I think you're dead right.
Because you sit at your peg sometimes, and I'm sure people do this, and they'll think, I can have a nice day. I can win my section. I can get 50 quid. But you ain't qualifying for a final a lot of the time if you've got that attitude.
No. And it's the same when you're in a final. Crikey, if you might not get many opportunities to be in a final. Give yourself a chance of winning. I've been in a few Part Dean finals where I've come last, literally last in the final. And, someone next to me's had a nice sort of, nice £20 of bits and bobs. And I think, I'd rather come last, give myself a chance to win, than come 10th.
Yeah.
But
no one looks at it and goes, "Oh my God, Si Fry's come last," do they? They just go,
Well, they might
I'll
do at the
defend-
time, but who cares?
no,
I don't
matter.
care.
Doesn't
You know?
matter. Whilst on the topic side, big money finals, one that I want to talk about, obviously, 2021 Mava Match This. You all right, Tobe?
Yeah.
I thought you said something, sorry.
No, that's all right. You're fine. It's all right,
Leave it in.
We'll leave it in.
Leave it in.
It's natural as you like.
Yeah, this is
isn't it?
totally natural, folk. 2021 Mava Match This.
A couple of years ago, I can still remember 2 years ago.
I bet you can as
yeah,
well.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that one, because that was very, very special.
Yeah, obviously, you know, to win, having been in a lot of finals, to finally win a big final, and, you know, let's be honest, 60 grand as well.
Is that the most money you've ever won in fishing?
Yeah, of course, yeah. I mean,
Ridiculous.
it's a ridiculous amount of money. It was amazing, you know, amazing one to win. I had a proper campaign that year for it as well.
Come on, tell us about this
Proper
big campaign.
My big campaign was I had 0 tickets for Match This that year. Literally none at all. Planned all my family holidays and everything for the year. I'd even planned a trip to Ireland with Darren to do the Fermanagh Feeder Classic. Mm-hmm. It was all booked in, and the finals didn't fit in because the Mava Match This final that year was the day after myself and Darren were going to Ireland. So I couldn't fish it anyway. Couldn't fish the final anyway. So
Yeah.
what's the point of doing the qualifier? And the 2 weeks before the final, I was on family holiday, all booked and paid for, down in Cornwall.
Surfing.
Surfing,
Nice.
yeah, and a bit of fishing for bass and stuff.
Beautiful.
Anyway, I bumped into John Harvey sometime in the summer, and John had just qualified for Fishermania that year. So I was having a chat with John. Great, well done, but you qualify for Fishermania. He said, the only thing is I've got a Mava Match This qualifier at the Glebe I need to get rid of. When is it, mate? I said to him, and he looked in the diary, and I said, yeah, I've got nothing on that day. I'll have it off you. So my campaign that year was I had John Harvey's sort of leftover ticket that I didn't really want anyway, because everything had been booked in. You know, couldn't really fish the final. Anyway, all I've been doing all summer was feeder fishing. Gone through this sort of mad feeder fishing phase of my life, and I'd just been on Feeder Masters qualifiers, not doing particularly well. And I fancied a change, got my pole out, polished my pole, bought myself a gallon of casters and thought, right, I'm going to head off to the Glebe and have some shallow pole fishing. And it was at a time when the pegs were being drawn for you. So Roy Marlowe was drawing the pegs, sort of a hangover from COVID, I suppose. And anyway, so I got to the draw for this match that I shouldn't really be at anyway. And Roy Marlowe's drawn me peg 100 at the Glebe, which for anyone that knows the Glebe is probably one of the best feeder pegs on the complex. And there's me, I've got my polished pole, gallon of casters, thinking, a load of shallow rigs had made up, thinking I've just drawn one of the best feeder pegs on the complex. So I thought, I don't really want to have a day on the feeder, but I'll set a feeder up anyway. Anyway, I've chucked the feeder and started the match on it, ended the match on it, and won the match.
Won the qualifier.
Won the qualifier. 100 and, can't remember. There you go. £179 on all on the feeder. And I've got myself into a final that I remember I stood with Chris Vanderfleet at the results, and he slapped me on the back and said, well done, mate, well done. And he said, you don't look very happy about it. And I said, I'm going to Ireland the day before the final. I said, I've literally got a ferry booked and paid for with Darren the day before the final. So we're in the Fermanagh Feeder Classic. That year, the Fermanagh Feeder Classic was from Sunday to Friday. Have you ever heard of a 6-day festival starting on a Sunday?
No, never.
Never. So it was on a Sunday. The Match This final was on Saturday. More to the point, I was in Cornwall or in Devon up till the Thursday of the week before. So I was going to the idea was originally I was going to get back from family holiday on the Thursday, sort my gear out on Friday, hop off over to Ireland with Darren on the Saturday. And all of a sudden, I'm in the Match This final on the Saturday.
You're giving me preparation anxiety
Yeah.
big time listening to this.
So a bit of jiggery pokery, managed to get booked onto a ferry late on Saturday evening. Bearing in mind, we still had to go overnight and get to the Fermanagh Feeder Classic draw the following morning. I've heard Roy, by the way, on you had Roy on the podcast, didn't you? Talking about when he won the Match This final and went off to Ireland the next day with Lee.
Rob.
Oh, Rob Button.
Rob,
Sorry.
Rob.
I'll
yeah.
get told
Sorry,
off.
I was thinking
I'll get
Roy.
I'll get told off for calling him Roy.
Call him Roy.
Yeah.
Rob's new name's Roy. He looks like a Roy. He looks a lot older than he is.
No,
so-
I've always called him Roy.
Have
Is he
you?
almost 50, isn't he?
He's Rob's. Can
Rob,
you believe
yeah,
Roy's almost 50?
He is. I've called him Roy for. I mean, there's another story.
Roy, how did that come about? Go on, let's diverge.
So sorry. So Maven match this final. We'll come back to.
Yeah,
I was on the World Pairs in
yeah.
Ireland. Travelled over. It's myself, Darren Cox, Nick Speed, and Rob Wotton.
Roy Wotton.
Roy Wotton. Rob Wotton at the time. It was Rob Wotton at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So we shared a little place in Ballinamore, little lodge, beautiful little place. And we were on the World Pair. So Rob and Speedy were fishing together.
Roy and
Darren
Speedy.
Roy and Speedy. And me and Darren were fishing together. And we were staying at this little place. And every night we used to go into the bar. And the lady that ran it, a lady called Teresa, lovely lady, she'd always ask her, she'd say to us, how have you done, boys? How have you done today? Simon, how have you done today? And I'd say, oh, well, Teresa, yeah, I've caught a few hybrids today. How have you done, Darren? Yeah, Darren, I've done all right. How about you, Nick? How have you done? And then she'd say, what about you, Roy? How have you done today, Roy? And Roy started off, he said, Teresa, my name's Rob. It's Rob. Okay, fine. So next day, going to the bar, how have you done today, Roy? Yeah, how about you, Nick, Speedy, Si? And anyway, on the third day, we went in and she said, the usual, how have you done, Darren? How have you done? How did you do today, Roy? And he just shook his head and went, and she kind of winked and said, you look like a Roy to me. do you mind if I call you Roy? So anyway, from then on, we've always called him Roy. That's it. And when I send him a text message, I was like, how you doing, Roy? And he,
You know that you talking about this in the podcast is going to make that really official. Everyone's going to call him
Everybody's
Roy.
going to call him Roy now.
Yeah. But do you know the funny thing is, I've been, when he's done well at a match, which is quite often, and he gets called, and winning the match today, Rob Wotton. And I go, yeah, well done, Roy. Well done, Roy. I've had people sort of say, his name's not Roy, it's Rob. And I'm sort of, oh, is it? Sorry, I never knew. Sort of keep it as a private joke. But
Love it.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
No. So yeah.
Match this final.
So I was talking about Roy had a similar incident. He won the match this final, had to go straight to Ireland, but I noticed on his podcast he was saying he went to Lee's house the night before and they still had a fairly leisurely drive, as was a mad dash, which I'll come on to. So
You've got yourself in this situation.
I got myself in the final.
Yeah.
And I managed to get the ferry changed for myself and Darren to a late Saturday night ferry.
The same day as the match.
Same day as the match this final. Same day. So, and the thing was, the week before, I'm in Devon with Charlie and Paula and Alice, my family, and literally I think Andy Kinder phoned me and said, are you coming up to have a practice? Everyone's been up. I haven't seen you. Oh, mate, I can't. I'm at the I'm in on holiday with the family. So my practicing for the match this was fishing in the Instow estuary with my son Charlie for bass.
I think we've got some photos of that, Tobes.
And,
Bass fishing.
I caught, me and Charlie between us caught about 17 bass on like the Wednesday and Thursday. Bearing in mind the match this finals on the Saturday. Yeah, massive bass, as you can see, huge things.
So this is
But
you
that's
practicing
me
for the match.
practicing for the match this, and I've got my other little companion who caught some bass as well.
Charlie somewhere.
And
That looks great fun, that
oh,
side.
it's brilliant. Yeah, brilliant.
Is there a lot of that on the English coast where you can just go and chuck a
Yeah.
lure out?
Yeah, there's little Charlie, bless him.
Oh, yeah. That's quite a big one, that.
Yeah. So that was literally 2 days before the match list final. And anyway, when I got back Thursday night, Friday was sorting all my gear out for Ireland. The match this gear was kind of already done. And I drove up in my van with all the Irish gearing and obviously my match this gear and the Irish gear. Darren drove up in his car. He was running the bank for me that day with all his gearing, and then obviously fished the match. That was an incredible match.
Tell us a little bit about the match, because I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want the hype of this story to destroy the technical fishing that I want to find out of you as well. Like, tell us about the match this final that you won.
So,
where did you draw? How did you fish?
I drew in the corner on peg 12, I think it was. If you know Hayfield,
Yeah.
the Island Lake, as you stand on the bottom bank to the left, it would be a couple of pegs in. So you had a blocker. I was M peg, but there was a blocker. So as you're looking at the lake, the island would be to my left.
Yeah.
And the peg that Bennett won the Fishermania off, I was in that final a couple of years before, so the 2019 final. So although I hadn't done any practice specifically for the match this final, I was in the Fishermania final on Hayfield a couple of years before, and I practiced like mad for that.
Right.
So I had got quite a bit of like knowledge in the old bank, if you like, from having done that. A lot of pellet waggler work. One of the things that came up in the Fishermania final practice was this fishing really, really deep pellet waggler, sort of 8 foot deep, and letting it sit there. And often you catch a fish doing that when you couldn't catch a fish doing anything else. So that was always in the back of my mind. And it was fishing hard that year. Do you remember they had a big issue with some hay or straw falling into the lake, and it was fishing very, very hard. And so I drew the peg that everyone wanted was on the point of the island where Bennett had won the Fishermania from the year before. I think Blackie won the Fishermania from there a couple of years before that. So Pete Black. Christian Jones was one of the first to draw because he'd qualified the year before. Because, excuse me, the final's normally 24 pegs. I think there were 26 in that because there were 2 carried over from the previous year with COVID.
Got ya.
Excuse me. Christian had qualified the year before. One of the first to draw. They did it in qualification order, and he drew on the point where you wanted. And a lot of people said, "Oh, it's game over," and brilliant young angler, right at the top of his game. But with it fishing so funny, it was almost felt like everyone had a chance. As it turned out, that wasn't the case because you had. It probably won't go down as the best final in terms of fish catching, but in terms of a competition and a match, with it being close between a group of people, with an hour to go, there were 6 of us in the hunt. Any one of us could have won it. But we were all on the island or this side, the near side of the island. Everyone the far end of the island was struggling. Lee Kerry was down there. Andy Power was down there. The usual suspects. And the match started off really slowly. I was fishing on pellet waggler. So I was fishing the pellet waggler. I think I had 2 carp in the first hour. And, you can hear the commentary because Andy Kinder's on the commentary. So you kind of... Although it's not Fishermania and you don't get weigh-ins, you kind of, what's going on from the commentary. And apparently there was myself, Jack, who was next to me on the left, and then you had Alan Scawthorne, Tom Edwards opposite, who were both doing well. So there was 4 of us in the hunt. And I can't remember the guy that was on the other end of the island, down to my left, was doing well as well. And, I had 2 fish in the first hour for £12, something like that. And that was good. That was really good for the first hour. And then I think I had a couple more, one on this deep waggler, 8 foot deep waggler. You sit there literally 5 minutes later, you get a bite. Had probably my biggest fish doing that. And then there was a couple of people, Alan Scawthorne, Tom Edwards over the far side started catching. And then I didn't have a bite probably for 2.5 hours. And I said to Darren, here we go again. Another final. Another sort of, get on the slow pack up, we'll get ourselves off to Ireland, because I was falling behind. I think I was on 3 or 4 carp, and there were people now on 7 and 8, and I was thinking, another one's gone. But, you keep giving ourselves a chance, start on the slow pack up and we'll get off as quick as we can. And then literally 50 minutes to go, after not having had a bite for a couple or 3 hours, I've sort of missed a bite on the pellet waggler. I thought, bloody hell, I've just had another bite. Cast that again, got one straight away.
On the deep waggler?
No, on a shallow waggler now. Back on the shallow waggler. So got one straight away, and then cast inside, had another one straight away. So I've had 3 bites in 3 chucks, 2 fish. So all of a sudden, I've gone from 4 to 6 fish, and I was thinking I'm 4, but there's people with 7 and 8. I'm now on 6, and it's like, bloody hell, if I get another 2, and I've got half an hour to go, you never know. As long as other people don't go mad. And literally with 5 minutes to go, I've had another one. And then with 2 minutes to go, I've had another one. So I've had 2 in the last 5 minutes. And you imagine playing that last fish when you got Kinder on commentary. So, this could be the fish that wins £60,000. And you sort of...
It's not what you want to be hearing, is it, that?
No, to be honest, I was like fairly calm about it. It sort of really was quite calm about it.
Did you know it was that close,
No,
Si?
no, I didn't. No.
Right.
No, you get a sense of what other people are saying. So No, I didn't realise it was that close.
Did Darren?
I think he did. He was the one saying, you got a chance, take your time, you got a chance, because you get time after the all out to get fishing. So I've got these. So I think I had 8 carp in total, and then they start the weigh in. I was the first one to weigh in, and the scales walk the whole way around the lake. So I weighed in first, 53 pounds. They do it in kilos, but I think it was 20. I can't remember. 23 kilos, 23 kilos something, 50 odd pound. And I'm thinking, there's no way that's going to be enough. People saying to me they thought Tom Edwards had beaten me on the far side, but you never know. Anyway, so I'm just now packing up. I've got Jason Lebosquet's there, packing all my stuff away. Darren's there, packing all my stuff away. Darren's getting his gear out of his car, putting it into my van, because we know we've got this deadline to try and get the ferry over to Ireland. And obviously the scales went round the lake, and as they got to the end of the island, the weights just disappeared off to nothing. There was people. I think one of the sections was one with, it wasn't a lot anyway, can't remember. And they walked all the way around the lake, and then all the way back up the lake. Wade in Lee and Powers and a few other people got to Tom Edwards, no, the one before Tom Edwards, and Andy Kinder phoned me on my mobile. I said, "Si, get your son over here now, because it's all been filmed. You've got BT Sport filming it, and he's filming it for Maver. And get yourself over here now. You're still winning." And obviously they wanted me on film either way. If Tom and Alan Scothorne, who they thought were the only two might beat me, they want my reaction on film. Either way, either I'm going to win it or I'm not. So I've left them to pack all my gear away, and I've tootled around to the other side. And
were you excited at this point?
Yeah, excited. I mean, people say, "Oh, you must have been really, kicking yourself, nervous." But no, just excited, generally excited. Pretty calm, really, as a character, generally. I'm pretty sort of chilled out about stuff. Got round, and Tom they were pulling his second net out, and his first weigh was 11 kilos. Bear in mind, I'd had 23. His first weigh was 11 point something kilos. And his second net, as he pulled it out, gasped and sort of, "Oh, he's going to do it. He's going to do it. It's going to be enough." And someone else said, "Oh, it's about the same. I reckon it's similar. I'm not sure." Anyway, his second weigh was, I think, also 11 point something kilos. So I've had 23, and he's had 21 something.
Wow.
So that's like one of the main danger men gone. And Tom's a young angler. He'll have his chance. He's a brilliant angler.
Fantastic angler.
Yeah. And then there was Alan Scothorne. Jordan Holloway was still to weigh in, but hadn't caught much at all. So there were Alan Scothorne. Basically, it was it. They said if Alan's now, and Alan had 3 nets in, weighed his first 2 nets, and again this is on the film somewhere, but he weighed his first 2 nets, and it was I think he'd say like 18 kilos, and then he went for his 3rd net, and everyone's going, "Oh, what's he got in his 3rd net? What's he getting all the cameras filmed on his 3rd net?" And he pulled his 3rd net out, it was empty. There was nothing in it.
Nah.
Yeah. He'd playing us all. He thought, he's done us. And literally he was laughing. Oliver was laughing. He was back running, and he sort of, "Way, go on, there's nothing in it."
Fair play, big Al.
And that's when, the people like Joe Carras was over there filming for Preston, I think, and obviously Andy Kinder was there, and and then I just turned around, Darren, Jason Lebosquet, my wife Paula, and some other friends and family were on the far bank, and I've just gone, yeah, like this, and like Paula's come running around in tears.
Wow.
And what an amazing time, so.
How did it feel, Si? Like, what's it feel like when you've won a final like that? What's in the tummy? What's in the gut?
I don't really know. I mean, it's just obviously, elation, like very excited. I just felt happy for Paula.
Found the footage.
Look at that.
Oh, yeah.
Should we have a watch?
Yeah, go on, have a little watch. Definitely.
What do you know?
What do you know? Simon, you are now potentially one weighing away from being 2021 Match This champion. Is your heart fluttering a bit?
I'm pretty chilled out, Andy.
You do look chill. I've never seen a man as chilled out in my life as what Simon is here.
Si, I'd have been
You
laid
just gotta get
on
the ferry,
bank.
but you could be getting on the ferry £60,000 better than 2021 Match This champion.
Look at Oliver having a pint in background.
This is Alan pulling his net out now.
Tension.
Tension, waiting for the net to
I've
be
never
pulled
known a
out.
man as calm in my life. Oh, there's no in that one, sir. oh. So there we have it. I'm sure.
This is
as
Andy's
everybody
reaction
here
now.
will
You look
tell
at.
I think our new Match This 2021 champion is Simon Fry. Here's the champion. Simon, what
You look happy there.
Yeah,
that's
you are,
wicked,
mate. Yeah, absolutely brilliant.
It's Andy's reaction, I'll tell you.
Here he is, our 2021 champion. Well done, sir. Oh, I'm really proud of him.
You can see how
Brilliant.
emotional Andy is.
Couldn't
Look.
happen to a nicer bloke, I might say. What a fantastic performance. We watched him all day. He's fished a brilliant, brilliant match. And I can't wait to get that trophy on stage, Simon. Well done. Oh, look at that.
Oh, is that Paul
Yeah,
there?
that was Paulie, yeah.
Oh,
She was in
mate.
bits there.
I've got the. Let me throw the picture up.
What a moment, though. That
Yeah.
that's quite
Amazing.
Special.
It was amazing,
Yeah.
yeah.
And yeah.
What meant more to you, Sire? The money side of it, or
There you
winning
are.
it, or both?
I know what went more to Paula. Yeah, I mean, these things, the money's long gone.
Mm.
Don't get me wrong, we've had some fantastic opportunities because we had an amazing family holiday to Mexico because of that money.
Is that what you did?
Yeah,
You went-
we had a proper blowout, all expensive, like luxury, 5-star kind of all inclusive family holiday. What I didn't want is the kids in years to come saying, when Dad won that big competition, what did we do with the money? And I didn't want to just sort of think, he's paid the mortgage off, or he's put it in savings, or I wanted something they could remember.
That's lovely.
So,
that.
and look back on, do you remember when Dad won that big competition? Oh, I remember that holiday to Mexico we had because of it. That's what I wanted. And, we all had a treat. My little treat, there you go. My Apple Watch.
Apple Watch?
Yeah, that's the first thing I bought was that Apple Watch.
Right.
And, it's allowed us to do stuff. So, yeah, the money's great, but it's gone. It's gone. But the trophy, my name's still on the trophy. It always will be. And, when you look at the names that are on the trophy, the people that have won it, even see, I think Andy Bennett won it this year. Jamie Hughes won it the year before me. So, talk about great, amazing anglers like Jamie Hughes, Andy Bennett. My name's sandwiched in between them on the Match This
Rightly
trophy.
so as well.
But it's incredible, yeah.
Absolutely
So,
phenomenal.
yeah, the money's,
Congratulations.
thank you.
Yeah,
The
it's
money's
awesome, mate.
amazing. Of course it is. But the trophies, as an angler, I know it's a cliche and all the rest of it, but
Yeah.
it's true. It's true.
I think what you did with the money, though, and giving the kids and the family the memories and that opportunity.
It's what it's all about. It's what
Excellent.
It's all about. Yeah. So, but following on from that, there's still the little tale of, what we after that there was a load of media to do, and bearing in mind now we're on a deadline to get the ferry. I've got a ferry to catch in 3 hours, and
not hanging
we're
about.
2 hours away from where the ferry goes, and we got 3 hours to catch the ferry. So, we did the jump in the lake, the traditional jump in the lake, and the presentation and all. A fair play to Maver, they brought the presentation forward by half an hour.
Did they really?
Yeah. So fair play to them for doing that.
Just to throw that up because it's a brilliant
And,
shot as well.
That's
Yeah,
the shot,
yeah,
innit?
Yeah, pure emotion.
Yeah.
that.
yeah.
You lost some weight since then, Si,
Oh
haven't you?
yeah, I lost a couple of stones since then. Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell and all.
Yeah.
Wow.
So apart from being force-fed chocolate cakes in here, I've done pretty well, to be honest with you.
Yeah, anyone listening, Si's gone 6 months without chocolate until he's come to Guru HQ
And I bought him
today.
cookies and
I know,
muffins.
I've
Yeah.
just been force-fed.
But what a picture, two best mates.
Yeah.
it's
Been
best
through
mate.
loads
mate.
in fishing, and look at you both.
And
there.
literally, we jumped out of the lake, toweled off, got in the van, left the girls to pack up all the carp stuff and drive all the carp stuff home in my car, or Julie's car. So all the carp stuff we offloaded.
Yeah.
Darren had already loaded his Irish stuff in. My stuff was already in there. And we made the ferry with half an hour to spare.
Wow.
Oh,
Half an
that's
hour spare.
tight.
And as we drove onto the ferry, we were the last ones there. They drove us right to, like the doors at the front of the ferry.
Yes.
And we literally drove to the front of the door. So we were going to be first off the ferry.
Wow.
You lucky
I know.
devils.
Darren said to me, "You can't believe this." Literally I think he put a post on Facebook or something of the picture of the car at the front of the, the next one off the ferry, first one off the ferry. But the thing was, because it was a Sunday festival, we were on the overnight ferry. When we got off the ferry, having just made it by half an hour after all this, bearing in mind I was on holiday 2 days before that, we got off the ferry, drove from the ferry at breakneck speed and just made it to the draw for the first day of the festival, not the practice match, the festival.
So you didn't even have like a day practice
No,
or a day
no,
in the
we-
hotel or...
We didn't even get to the hotel or digs or anything. We literally drove we got off the ferry, we were at the front of the ferry, we got off the ferry, drove into the draw, and we were one of the last to draw. So
That is stupid. That's just...
I know.
That is like rock and roll lifestyle of match fishing, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
It is.
I wanted to. Was there any moment on either journey to the ferry or to the draw where you thought we're not going to make this?
No.
Was there any traffic or was there?
I was in cuckoo land, Tobe,
just
so
weren't even
I didn't
thinking
have a
that
clue
way.
what was going on.
That's incredible.
You know,
Wow.
you got 60 grand in the old back bin,
Yeah.
and it's like, we miss it.
What?
care.
Who cares? We'll get an
But
helicopter.
to be fair, you know, we got there and I didn't have the greatest week in Ireland. Didn't care. It was just an amazing week. You know, people
Yeah,
like
it's incredible.
coming up saying congratulating you, and yeah, bought a few beers that week.
I bet you did. I bet you had a few.
Yeah.
Cracking. Do you drink
So-
Guinness when you're in Ireland?
No,
Ty? Do you
no,
know?
I'm not really a Guinness fan.
What's your tipple?
I like a nice red wine, Matt. You know, like a Malbec or maybe a nice Côte de Rhone or something.
Oh, very nice. Sounds a
so-
bit posh for me, that.
I don't know. I mean, you know, with a meal particularly, but
Right.
I have an odd beer, but yeah, not really a big beer drinker
Nice.
anymore. Used to be,
Yeah?
not anymore. No.
Wow.
So, but
Very,
yeah.
very great story, that one. I love that. And it is. Would you say that you live quite a hectic lifestyle with fishing, Si? Is that a common sort of thing for you to dash about and fish lots of different things? Or
Yeah, I feel like it is sometimes. Yeah.
think it's a good thing or a bad thing?
No, it's a good thing. I mean, when we came, I was talking about that family holiday to Mexico. We came back from Mexico. We had an amazing family holiday in Mexico. It was unbelievable. Incredible holiday over there. We had, it was, I think, 11 or 12 hour flight back from Mexico. Got to Gatwick, and then I had a really bad traffic back from Gatwick. 5 hour drive home from Gatwick to home, and it was the Garbo feeder final at Tamar the next day. I literally got home midnight, left home at 3 o'clock in the morning to pick Darren up to drive him down to Tamar for the feeder final. So that was mad. That's probably the
What,
that
3
was
hours kip?
3 hours kip after being on holiday in Mexico for 2 weeks.
So probably jet lagged as well.
Yeah,
I'd imagine.
and so you say, is it? You know, it seems to be a fairly regular theme. You know, that's just one example, but
Wow.
yeah, it's yeah.
On the quiet, he's like the rock and roll star of match fishing, really. Definitely. I think it's so exciting, though, because it's all different fishing
Yeah,
as
no,
well.
I love it. Yeah, I mean, on like Mexico, you know, we're sort of like lure fishing for grouper.
I think there's a
stuff like
picture
that.
of one, isn't there? Have a look
Yeah.
at that.
My-
I'm sure there's a
My little
grouper
baby
shot.
grouper, yeah. But
Do you enjoy a bit of sea fishing on the quiet side, like when you're on holiday and that kind of thing?
yeah, used to particularly, but don't do a lot because normally it's holidays almost always reserved for surfing, really.
Ah, right. Got you.
But yeah, occasionally have a little dabble.
That's mega. That.
That's a cool fish, innit?
Yeah, that's. Look at the colours on that.
Look at the colours on that face.
Yeah, you've
What's
you've gone ginger again.
There's something gone wrong with
That's
the
the
picture. there.
the TV picture needs redoing, I reckon.
Look at that. What a fish. On a
Yeah.
lure.
on a popper.
Surface.
Took it off the top. Yeah.
Wow.
I'd love a go at something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah,
Amazing.
see, I'd have a go at that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at the teeth on it. You see the teeth
Yeah.
on the bottom
Oh,
of that mouth.
yeah.
Yeah.
Evil looking thing. And the fish as well looks quite
Yeah,
nasty.
yeah.
Yeah. Mega. Absolutely
So yeah,
fantastic.
it's good fun
Mm.
doing stuff like that.
Moving on, I want to keep on the track of fishing side into the next sort of I don't know, phase of your fishing from, you know, having a natter with you and following what you do all the time. You've gone down, definitely seem to be fishing more feeder matches than you
Yeah.
ever have. I know you do so many other things as well, but especially the international side of things. Obviously, you've become a part of the Masters feeder
Yeah,
team.
the England Masters feeder team.
How did that come about, and how did the sort of turn to look at more feeder fishing originate for you?
Feeder fishing I've been doing for the last few years, quite a few years. After the first feeder masters, I kind of missed out on It passed me by. Second, got really involved with it second year. Darren won it. I think I had 4 consecutive seconds in zone, never qualified, but I had 4 qualifiers running. I was second in the zone, 2 of them by a couple of ounces. And so I really got determined to sort of have a go at it. Excuse me. The prep side of it's beauty, compared to the sort of stuff you do for the world champs. Crockett, it doesn't bear thinking about, getting whips and flat floats and, bolos and sticks and wagglers. And I know from, having gotten a couple of Riverfest finals on the Y, the amount of gear you have to get ready for that. Whereas feeder fishing, often it's a case of, plucking a spool of ready tied hooks off the shelf and, I do tie my own, obviously. But,
do you use some ready tied?
I do use a few of the little, the ready tied ones. Yeah, yeah, the old hair rig ones I like.
Interesting.
Yeah. You can't tie them any better, I don't think.
No.
So, why not? When time's at a premium and you can't be bothered.
Red wine to drink.
Yeah, there's bottles of red wine to drink, stuff like that. So, it's the prep side of it's great. In terms of taking gear around and, transporting, I don't know if it's just sort of getting slightly older or whatever, but I really enjoy it apart from anything else. The most important reason is I really, really enjoy feeder fishing. 2022, the FIP said, as you know, that, they've been expanding their portfolio of competitions. And they introduced they're the world governing body for match fishing. Is that right?
Well, all angling, all competitive fishing.
Competitive fishing, yeah.
I mean, I think they control the sea, the fly.
They do a lot.
Yeah.
So they introduced in 2022 a Masters feeder fishing event, which is for over 55s.
Yeah.
I got asked if I wanted to be involved in that. You got people like Tommy Pickering, Darren Cox, Andy Moss, Rich Vaughan. We were the first ever Masters squad.
No, great set of anglers.
Yeah, amazing. And I with the best will in the world, you got the likes of Tommy Pickering, angling legend, hero of mine from when I was younger. And, been there, done it, everything, for him to sort of speak to you and sort of say, you're going to get involved. Nigel Franks is the manager, and you've got Mark Morris, the assistant manager, who, get everyone together and involved. It's been an amazing setup to be a part of. It's in its infancy. This is only the second year this year.
So that was the very first one?
The very first year.
Got you.
Yeah. Was, Merida.
Nice. In Spain.
Yeah. So having been, picked by Nigel to get to be in the squad, I was sort of absolutely over the moon to be part of that. And, it was sort of all systems go over to Merida in Spain to fish on, is it Guardiola River?
Yeah.
Guadiana River.
I've never been to Merida ever. I've heard loads about it. Before we talk about the thing, obviously I've asked a lot of people about this. We've talked a lot in the podcast about international fishing getting segregated into these lots of different areas, feeder fishing.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously now there's the float, there's the official feeder, let's say, there's the method feeder, but then there's the vets feeder,
Masters,
Masters feeder. What's your take on the segregation of the England teams? Because some people feel it's diluting match fishing. Others have a totally different take on it.
I mean, I know, obviously I've watched some of your podcasts. I know it's something that you've spoken about in terms of it diluting. I kind of don't necessarily, you could argue it does dilute it to a degree. Certainly with the anglers, for example, you got float anglers that, like Steve Hemingway, Darren Cox, that went into the feeder team and then can't necessarily do both. So you've got someone like, like Lee Kerry, for example, might be lost to the float team because he's in the feeder team. That is diluted. Fishing it's a very different sport. There's so many different branches of it. It's not like, something like golf or darts, where you're playing golf, you're playing darts. You're not going to have lots of different categories. But I don't know, fishing is, obviously you've always got, in every sport, you've got age group categories.
Yes.
So, you know yourself, you're a 3-time youth world champion. So you've fished at the highest level, won the highest accolades as an under 18. Yeah, incredible. And there's always been, I used to play rugby in the vets, which was over 35s.
That sounds weird, doesn't it?
I know, over 35s. The golf in the Champions Tours over 50s. So there's always age categories at both ends. You've got the under whatever and the over, vets, masters, champions, whatever you call it. But in terms of dilution in the middle part, say the senior men's game, you've got your team, the float team, would have always been the England team.
Yeah.
Not that long ago, there wasn't another, the senior team, men's team was the float, what is now called the float team. And then you've got the feeder team comes along. Does that, as you're someone that's involved in the feeder team, I'll flip it to you, does that in your mind dilute it for you, the fact that you're now not the England team, you're the England float team and there's the England feeder team?
I think that there's two ways of looking at it. I think you could say it means more people can fish for England.
Yeah.
Is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? I'm not sure. I'm saying that feeder fishing and float fishing are so different that for the best to become the best in the category, there probably does deserve to be them two particular teams.
Yeah. But then you've got feeder fishing's been split into feeder fishing with 50 centimetre hook lengths and free running rigs, and now method feeder fishing.
Which I think is a little bit, my opinion, is a little bit close together.
Yeah.
Should you have a waggler one?
For example,
stick float one?
Yeah. Where'd you stop?
Yeah.
Where'd you stop? Next year there's another category being introduced, under 25s feeder. Next year, because the Masters feeder is in Szeged in Hungary, but we're also on the same with the under 25s, which is the first ever under 25s feeder. But because fishing's so different, I suppose it's a bit like if you think about athletics. You've got sprinting, track events. You've got field events like shot put, javelin. You've got jumping, high jump, long jump. Should you have, or could you have, an athletics world champion? You couldn't.
Too many different disciplines.
There's so many different disciplines, like fishing. Like, even in sprinting, if you're the 100-metre runner, you think, well, am I being diluted the fact there's a 200-metre runner? Does that make your event any less important than the 200?
Do you know what? That's probably the best argument I think anyone's come on here.
I think it's a great analogy. That
I've never thought of it that way, because it's all you are right. It's all athletics, isn't it? It's all track and
fishing.
field. It's all fishing.
All fishing. Even within athletics, you got like sprinting.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. But like you said, it's split.
But you're talking about like splitting feeder. But in athletics, you could split sprinting. So you got 100, 200, and 400. Could be arguably sprint events.
Yeah.
But I suppose in athletics you've also got decathlon, which is
a multitude.
Yeah, so maybe you should have a.
Well, surely the ultimate would to be have a fishing world championships. Do what you like.
Any method.
Do what you like. Any method fishing world championships.
Yeah.
But in terms of like, I know I've heard you've had a bit of a bee in your bonnet about it being diluted. I don't necessarily go along with that.
No.
Because I think that, the athletics analogy is quite good. It relates across to fishing.
I think that's a great
like,
analogy.
For example, Matt,
great analogy.
Where you are in your fishing, you are one of the very best in the world in your category, which is senior men's float. But could you just drop into the fly fishing team?
Not a prayer.
Not a chance.
Not in a million years.
No, but I don't think one should detract from the other.
No.
Like a 100-metre runner shouldn't be...
Usain Bolt's not going to throw the shot put, is he?
No, and he's not going to run a 400 metres or 800 metres or anything as well. So I think that each has got... And for me, I think the more people that are involved in it... I mean, I've heard people, top anglers, Will Raisins of this world, Steve Ringers of this world, always talking about, I wish there were more international events in the UK. We need to fish more to international rules. I've heard you say it.
Yep.
We need to fish more to international... The trouble is, there isn't the interest... for the masses out there fishing, but surely by having more and more categories, you get more and more people interested in that style of fishing. For example, I'm in the Masters feeder team. All of a sudden, I'm interested in not just my, Masters feeder fishing internationally. I'm interested in all international events now. All of a sudden, I've got an interest that I didn't necessarily have before, where I really want to know what's going on with the lure team, the fly fishing team. Because having been there and experienced it and seen the buzz and felt what it means here, I'm more now, interested in how other people in their categories are doing. And I just think that the more people you get involved in it, the more people, I've got now friends and family that wouldn't have had a clue about it, are now interested in all international fishing.
All your people who follow you are now more aware of international
fishing. So...
It can only be an exponential positive from that point of view.
I think so, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
And in terms of the one detract from the other, I really don't think we should, or such an argument. I say, but that the athletics analogy, which
I think it's a really good analogy.
yeah.
And it's interesting to think maybe there will be one day a World Championship where every kind of fishing comes together.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
That'd be the ultimate. Imagine
Yeah.
winning that. That would be the ultimate.
Yeah.
Or maybe you have an event whereby you do a different discipline each day. So you have
Yeah.
a feeder match, a
Yeah,
float match,
like a
method
decathlon.
feeder match. Exactly that.
This is it. That's got to be the
That'd
ultimate
be
event.
incredible. And then
Well,
I'll tell you
that
what.
would be the ultimate.
You are the fishing.
What about a decathlon for fishing, but a FIPSED decathlon? So you could have, like you say, what a great event. They do it in athletics.
Yeah.
You've got 100 metres, 1,500 metres, shot put, high jump, whatever. Fishing. Right. You're gonna go street fishing with lures one day. Let's be real outside the box. Float fishing, match fishing, feeder fishing, method fishing.
Sea fishing, couldn't you?
So
Fly
as
fishing.
a pentathlon, like a 5-event thing. Get onto them. Go on.
How
that'd
good
be
would that
mad,
be?
wouldn't
Get
it?
it on.
I'd be
Mega.
If we can't get FIPS to do it,
Yeah.
we should it'd be a great event, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd
Amazing.
be more of a spectacle because it's more. There's a lot more on offer, isn't there?
Different fish species,
Yeah.
different kinds of
Exactly.
venues,
Yeah.
different pools of interest
Yeah.
from the followers, like you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's interesting
I
now.
like it. I like it.
And I think people listening, especially anglers involved in it or anglers who follow it, everyone will have different opinions. So I wanted to ask you about
Yeah.
that. I knew that you
Well,
come
there
at
you
it
go.
from a super positive point of view. So, yeah, very interesting. Very interesting. Back onto yourself.
Yeah. So Merida was the first year.
Tell us a little bit about the venue and where you're going and first year fishing for England.
First year.
Excited?
Yeah, Nigel Franks has got us all together. Great team of anglers together. Backroom staff as well. We've all headed off to Merida. Excited like mad, like you wouldn't believe. So excited. Representing my country in a World Championships. Wow.
Done a lot of prep, Si, for it.
Stupid amounts of prep. Tied more hooks than I could use in 5 years.
Wow.
Just ridiculous. So, first year, the first year for me was quite difficult. I got very personal reasons for it. On the drive down to Merida, my stepdad John, is my mum's husband of over 30 years, had a really bad fall, and I was kind of on the way down. I did say to my mum, if you needed me to come home, I would. She wouldn't hear of it. She would absolutely no chance at all. This is something you've wanted. You just go and have the best time ever. John would really want you to go and do well, do as well as you can. So we got down there, practiced like mad. The venue changed so much. It started off, we were catching like kilo carasio, kilo catfish, and quite a few big fish, sort of 25 to 40 metre range.
Good fishing by the sounds of it.
Amazing fishing, yeah. And then through the week, these tiny little carasio were coming in, and we were catching them at sort of 10 metres, then 6 metres, and then like on the last day of practice, we're catching them under our rod tops.
Wow. So the venue completely
changed.
Why is that, Si? For people who maybe are thinking, how can a place change so much?
Well, these fish were everywhere. And obviously people start off, you're fishing further out, and eventually people were catching them short and thinking, I wonder if you can catch them. But you catch them at 10 metres, you think, can I catch them at 8? Catch them at 8, think, can I catch them at 6? Catch them at 6, I'll just drop it off the rod end. And all of a sudden, you want to chuck as fast as you can catch them under your rod top.
And what you're talking numbers-wise, sounds like there's a lot of fish.
Yeah, I think Tommy Pickering won a silver medal. Amazing, performance by him. He caught 500-ish carasio each day.
On a feeder?
On a feeder. You have to, the rules stipulate, line has to come off the spool. You have to take the bail arm off and the line has to come off. But I think that, you were literally just dropping it off the rod end. So I got into the team for first day, so that, first part of the mission, if you like, is because obviously there's 5 of us looking to get in a 4-man team.
Yeah.
So I was in the team for the first day. Fantastic.
How did, on your debut, how did you find the practice and everything and that format, and was it...
I lapped it up.
Enjoyed it?
I really, really enjoyed it, like I've not enjoyed anything for a long time. It's quite intense. the preparation and getting other. And we had an amazing team of, bank runners, backroom staff that were, getting everything together, preparing your bait for you and, making sure all the measurements were right for the baits and all the rest of it. It was amazing, full on sort of support team. Which I'll come on to, a little bit later, but incredible just to be a part of it, getting the team for the first day. And here I'm, debut World Championships. Here we go. Can't wait.
Nice.
So,
And how did it go? Tell us a little bit about the match.
It didn't go well. It didn't go well for me, really. I first of all, I drew a sort of bit of an M-peg. It wasn't an M-peg, but there was a gap with a big tree. So there was a couple of pegs in between. There was every peg all the way down the venue, and there was this massive tree. So there was a gap. So it goes down on the, the way Phipps said do the draws. You get end pegs, and then you get sort of inside end pegs, and it was one of those pegs that you couldn't draw again if you had it the first day.
Got you.
And the plan was we were going to catch hundreds of these Carasio short. And the thing with the Carasio, you drop your feeder in and you see this massive ball of swirling fish on the surface. But then you drop your feeder in and you'd almost count to 5 and lift up, there'd be one on, because the Carasio would follow the bait down. But there were also loads of bleak. And I had the most massive shoal of bleak in front of me I've ever seen. It was half the size of this room here.
You could see them pimple
just
in. And
bleak. But obviously the thing with the bleak is they wouldn't go down like the Carasio. And I wasn't as good at that kind of quick style of fishing as a lot of the other anglers anyway, obviously. But these bleak, I got pestered by, I think I caught something like 280 bleak. Not all bleak. I caught a lot of Carasio, but I caught a lot of bleak, and the bleak were more problematic to catch. And I felt they slowed me down a bit. So I finished 7th in the section.
Right.
So
Which, I'm assuming they were decent sized sections.
12.
Yeah.
Out of 12. So I finished 7th. So disappointing. Disappointed. Nigel came up to me afterwards, made the right decision. He's dropped me for day 2. Right decision. So Andy Moss came in for day 2.
Yeah.
And we just missed out on a medal by 4 points.
Right.
So Italy got the bronze medal. I think Hungary won.
Yeah.
France were second, and Italy were third. We were 4 points up, but we did have Tommy Pickering, individual silver medalist.
Nice for first World Championship, though.
Amazing, yeah.
And enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, on day 2, I'd say I did get dropped for day 2, and I was running Darren's section, and so Darren was in hunt for a medal.
Yeah.
So the main objective for me was to do a job for him, to make sure, give him, best mate in a World Championships, got a chance for a medal. I need to do a job for Darren.
Yeah, quite a special thing having you and him together in a World Championship.
100% definitely. What happened then, this is sometimes a bit difficult for me to talk about, but I'm going to try. So on the morning of the second day, I'm running the back for Darren. My phone's gone a couple of times, and I've sort of been trying to ignore the phone. It was my mum on the phone, and John, my stepdad, had passed away that morning.
Bless him.
Yeah, so I had this really bad fall, passed away. So my mum obviously is very, very upset. I'm trying to comfort my mum on the phone. At the same time, the match is sort of almost about to get underway. I stayed on the phone with my mum as long as she wanted me for. I've then, obviously, I'm in a kind of emotional turmoil. So I'm thinking, I've got to now, try and do the best job. Sorry.
Mate, it's fine. I'm not, that kind of thing happening on that weak side, and I can talk from experience here, emotion is so high anyway. It's such a tense environment and a vicious week of, competitiveness for something like that to happen. Right, and especially off the back of day 1, and then you're out for day 2.
So
it's terrible.
I was a bit emotionally fragile anyway, for the whole week, and then day 1, and then to have that happen on day 2. But I didn't tell anyone. I didn't talk to anyone about it. I just thought, I'm not going to let this affect the team. We've been here for a week. We've been, all the rest of it. And so, I just thought I've got to do the best job for Daz that I can. And
You didn't even tell Darren about
I didn't
it.
tell him.
So
No.
you've got all this
Yeah.
on yourself.
Yeah. I mean, Darren, knew John very well. I didn't want anything affecting his chances of getting a medal and the team's chances of getting a medal on that day. So I just had to try and sort of, get on with it. Really try
Wow.
and get on with it. Darren won the match that day, the whole match.
Never.
Yeah.
That's almost meant to be, isn't it? It is literally almost meant to be.
Yeah, a bit unlucky because I think the Hungarian, who was about 4 pegs down from him, bearing in mind all we'd caught with these 50-gram Carasio all week, the Hungarian a few pegs down had 1.5 kilo carp, complete, like, out of the blue. And I think he beat Darren to a medal by about 500 grams. So Daz missed out on his individual medal. But, he won that whole match on day 2.
Were you behind him?
Yeah, I was
as well?
proud as punch to be running the section for him, made up for him, gutted for the team that we'd missed out by a few points.
Tough day, that, Si. A really tough
Yeah.
day. I don't know how you. I
The
don't know how you did that.
the toughest day I've ever had in terms of on any fishing thing.
You must have just wanted to be home.
Yeah,
Just get home.
I wanted to get. I mean, the drive home was horrendous.
Did
By the
you
way,
did you tell the lads after
no,
about it?
No, I don't even know if all of them know now.
Wow.
I mean, obviously they will now, but yeah, I kind of. I was travelling with Darren and Rob Brennan, and obviously they knew because we were in the van together travelling back. But you imagine having all that, and it's a 2-day drive home, a full 2 days, including an overnight stop. So it wasn't the easiest.
No, it's the kind of stuff that makes you ill, that is. I don't know how you did it, honestly. I really don't.
It was tough. It was tough.
I also know it's hard to talk about, so thank you for sharing it. Because it just shows things like that happen, even to the likes of yourself. And, I really don't know how you
It was tough.
cracked on and did that day. Honestly. Absolutely amazing. But thank you for talking about it. I know that it were a tough little part of it for you, that.
Yeah.
Massive respect. However, let's talk about Italy, because this is a little bit special.
Yeah.
2023,
2023. So a year on.
next year,
Yeah.
or last year.
The second ever Masters Feeder Fishing World Championships.
Whereabouts in Italy we going?
It's the navigable channel of the Migliorino Canal.
Say that in English.
Migliorino Canal.
Right. And what's the venue like? What we expecting? What information did you have on it?
The information we had was sketchy. I mean, we had some info from Tommy, and Darren have a lot of contacts. And we had some information coming back to us that, 40-metre wide canal, as we'd call it probably. Dead straight, featureless pretty much. There's brambles on the far bank and pretty much featureless. Yeah, pretty featureless.
What about fish species?
Fish species were skimmers, odd bream, but not many. But skimmers mainly. Catfish, loads and loads of like catfish this big.
The spiky ones?
Spiky, tiny catfish. Some bigger catfish and carp and Carasio.
Right, so
Yeah,
mixed bag,
a right
really,
mixed
then.
bag of stuff, yeah. So, yeah, we went over there with, high hopes. I mean, obviously, you're thinking the Italians going to be, they fished the venue a lot. We're thinking they're going to be difficult to beat. Hungary and France, gold and silver medalists from the previous year, they'll be, tough. But, skimmer fishing, if it turns out to be skimmer fishing, we all do. We've got a great squad of anglers, and skimmer fishing would be certainly, I think, one of our strengths. Odd carp, we fish for carp as, bonus fish. So.
And how did practice go? What did you learn in practice? Because obviously I know the result because I followed you through it, and I was keeping my eye on it all. But practice, I'm interested to see how you got a plan together for this one. With so many different fish and variables.
When we started out, first couple of days, we were absolutely blathered to bits by tiny catfish like this big catfish on every, whatever line you went in, fishing little bloodworm baits. We were trying to catch skimmers really, and I think on one, like the first practice day, I think I had like 23 chucks for about £1. They're tiny. But as the week wore on, they just seemed to disappear, and I don't know if they all that bait goes in, all this joker going in, pinkies and other stuff going in, ground bait. these tiny little catfish, I think they go crazy and they just gorge themselves. And I think all you can catch to start with are these tiny, tiny little catfish. But as the week went on, it became evident that you needed to catch the skimmers, like 4 to 10 ounce skimmers. They were the key target fish. And, practice went well. We were doing well. I think other teams were coming to look at us, thinking, we were catching quite a lot of fish. And we kind of settled on, I mean, in practice, you're trying to eliminate things as well as establish things. And, we were working on ground bait mix. So, if you have a lineup of anglers, you've got someone fishing fish meal, someone fishing non-fish meal, someone fishing leam, fishing at different lines, different distances. And it kind of formulated quite a good plan. So we were thinking like 50-50 sort of leam and ground bait. Fish meal ground bait we was probably the best for us.
That's really interesting because I've never been to an international venue since I've done it since I was 15 where we've used fish meal ever. Yeah. And fish meal were better. Yeah. We had, Senses sponsored us with the ground bait, so we were using Senses ground baits. We had a sort of lake and lean mix, that kind of mix that we tried. But we also had this I should remember it, shouldn't I? Was it Magic Fish?
Magic Fish Meal, Sweet Magic Fish Meal Dark.
Yeah, I read Darren's piece in Match Fishing.
Magic Fish Meal Dark was the best mix. And consistently our best results were over that ground bait. And then it was a question of just working out what to mix it with, like whether to mix it neat with leam, 50-50, mainly leam. And pretty much formulated on a 50-50, like leam and soil, sieved, riddled, together with this Sweet Magic Fish Meal Dark.
Got you.
So it was a 50-50 mix. A beautiful mix, really, really nice mix to fish with. Not that I would know because, you got the guys on the bank mixing it all for you, just presenting you with a bucket. Steve Welford, bless him. He's I wish I could take him everywhere with me.
Lovely bloke, Steve.
Oh, what a guy.
Great guy.
Yeah, he's got some stories, I tell you.
Yeah. I had a look at the people you'd got on the bank. You've got an awesome gang of people.
Amazing.
Behind
Yeah. Incredible. We had five anglers. You got Tommy Pickering, Darren Cox, Andy Moss, Rich Vaughan and myself as anglers. You had Dave Berry joined the squad this year.
Yeah.
Great guy, Dave.
Lovely bloke.
Brilliant angler. He joined. And then you got Rob Brennan. He's not even old enough to be in the team, but came along as bank runner, tactician, driver, and carer for myself and Darren. Then you've got Stevie Welford, who's just bait extra. I wish I could have a Steve Welford with me to mix my ground bait up every week. And then obviously the big knobs, Mark Morris, and the biggest knob of all, Nigel Franks, the big cheese.
Nice.
So and I don't mean big. I mean the biggest cheese.
The gaffer,
the boss. Yeah. So
they're sorting all the stuff out on the bank,
Yeah.
giving you these mixes.
Yeah.
You've come to this conclusion about this 50-50 leam and ground bait sort of mix seems best.
But also, what we'd established was that there were bonus fish to be caught as well. And on the skimmer lines, you couldn't keep them coming indefinitely. You'd get maybe 5 in 5, not 5 in 5 chucks, but you'd get sort of 3 in 3 chucks. Then you'd go a couple of chucks and then you get another one, then maybe 3 chucks and get another one. And it was evident that you had to rest the line. So what we had done was there'd been carp caught in practice, but a lot of the teams fished sticky mag on the far bank.
Right.
And the thing with the sticky mag, I think teams were feeding it and then leaving it for a couple of hours and then going on it. And it just didn't quite seem right with us. Because you imagine the sticky mag going in and then you're not looking on it for 2 hours. Where's it all gone? It's going to wriggle away on the stones or get eaten. So we fed like whizzed up corn, chopped corn, whole corn, and dead maggots. And you think if you're putting like those Guru bait up feeders, you're sticking like 5 of those over with dead maggots, corn, and whizzed up corn. If no fish come past, it's all still going to be there.
Yeah.
In 2 hours, if nothing's come past, it's still there. So we had quite a bit of success catching carp in practice.
Were they big, Si, the carp? How big were they?
The biggest one I saw was Darren's, which he caught on day one. Where there's an amazing story behind that, which I can tell
All
you.
right.
Was about 4.1 kilos,
So big fish in a world champ.
but they only counted for 3 kilos.
Ah.
So they put a rule in at the start that any fish over 3 kilos only counted for 3 kilos.
Right. Okay.
That was the that was the crack on that.
Hmm.
But so yeah, there were carp to be caught, and I think I caught one every day bar one.
So there's quite
Practice.
a few in there.
Yeah,
then.
so we established they could be caught. They could, definitely. And what we worked out was that in an ideal world, we had 3 skimmer lines. So we had bottom of the near shelf, 12 metres ish,
Hmm.
middle of the canal, 20 metres, bottom of the far shelf, 27, 28 metres, 3 lines. And ideally, you'd start on the short line, fish that for as long as you could catch fish for, go out onto your middle line and work your way across. But if your line started dropping off, you had to rest it. So originally it was going to be you want to rest it going on another skimmer line.
Hmm.
But that often, it didn't work out always. And we thought, well, if you're going to rest it for 10 minutes, why not have 2 5-minute chucks on your long line? Give yourself a chance for bonus fish. And even if you don't catch a bonus fish, come back on your skimmer line and it's rested. A couple of times I caught 5 or 6 skimmers on my skimmer line, rested it, came back after 10, 15 minutes, caught another 3. They have to rest it again. But you couldn't keep catching them.
That's tactically, I think that's a real key
Brilliant
finding.
tactic it turned out to be. Yeah.
Do you do a lot in your own fishing generally, Si, for them fish?
Yeah.
Resting a line.
Yeah, I think it works really well. Yeah, really well. Yeah. But so yeah, I mean that was the plan formulated before day one. Yeah. So it's
And tell us about the 2 match days. Let's get on to the match days. How did they go?
well, there's a few of these stories now, but day one. Well, first of all, on the last day of practice, this is great. I love this. Such a juice bag.
Go on.
Oh, such a juice bag. So on the last day of practice,
I've never heard that phrase before. Juice bag.
A juice bag. Yeah.
What's that mean?
Fortunate, lucky.
All right. Trying to knock out
Tobes has heard of that, haven't you?
Yeah.
Is it a southern
It's an Essex thing, yeah.
Right.
So in practice you have boxes to fish.
Yeah.
So on the last day of practice, we drew box A. Bearing in mind this venue is a straight channel, dead straight. There's one MPEG one end, one MPEG the other end.
Great match length.
So you've got A1 and D10 would be the 2 MPEGs. So we were on practice day, we were in box A on the last day of practice. So Nigel asked me to go on A1 last day of practice. I don't know if that's a good omen or, when I've told people that, I said that, you were in then, you were in, you were in. Put me on A1. So anyway, I've sat on A1, caught a load of fish, MPEG of the match, on the match. So this is on practice. Anyway, that evening, you draw for sections.
Yeah.
So I've drawn section A.
No.
Yeah. But as a team, we've drawn 10. There's only 10 teams in it. So we've drawn 10, as in we're 10th to draw.
Yeah.
Right? So the order to draw. So basically, we're going to get left whatever's in the bag.
Last to draw.
Last to draw.
Okay.
Last to draw. So bearing in mind I'm in A section, you can say the lads give me a bit of stick. Oh, you're going to end up on A1, aren't you? Oh, bloody, having fished it the day before. Yeah, well, we'll get what we get because we get the last one in. Anyway, they come around with the bibs in the morning. A1.
Never.
Yeah,
I didn't know this.
A1.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Same peg you'd
Same
fished.
peg I'd fished the day before.
Okay.
So what are the chances?
Very slim.
What are the chances?
Yeah, but when your name's on it,
Yeah.
you still got to catch them though, Si.
Yeah.
I mean,
The only thing with the A1 to 4, they dredged the far bank and there was no cover. It was just like clay. So there were no brambles, nothing. When you catch these carp, you caught them in brambles. So for me, A1, I was on it the day before. I think I had 4.2 kilos
right.
on the practice. And so I thought, right, that's it. I'm going to fish a skimmer match. Just get my head down, fish a skimmer match. And I weighed 4.2 kilos, 4.2 something kilos.
Yeah.
Just a real, there's first day.
Day one catch shot, Tobe. I reckon it's in there.
Yeah, so I've caught the classic, 4 to 10 ounce skimmers that we've been catching in practice. I've had a stress-free sort of match, really. The German lad on A3 had a real nice run of better fish late on and beat me.
Okay.
So I've ended up second.
With great results.
Second in section, day one from a team's point of view, great result.
Did you enjoy it that much, Shy?
Loved it. Absolutely loved it. I tell you what, as sort of world championships go, I mean, I don't really get nervous. Toby was asking me earlier, actually, do you ever get nervous sort of before big match? I honestly don't.
Even world champs?
No, I was going to say the only time I've had that slight sort of fluttery, excited feeling is, just before the bait up for a world champs. It's the baiting up.
Is that day one?
Yeah, day one.
Yeah.
It looks more than 4 kilo there,
Yeah,
Si.
4.2 something kilos.
Beautiful fishing, that,
Yeah,
innit?
so a real nice, steady day's fishing.
Beautiful. No catfish either.
No,
Just completely
No, the
short shot.
catfish completely gone.
That's
Hardly
weird.
any catfish caught at all
Right.
by anyone in the match.
So nerves, a little bit
Yeah.
before the bait up.
Excitement, a little bit slightly sort of like, oh, God, hype, because obviously you've got to be ready before time. So I'm sitting there for 5 or 10 minutes thinking, come on, just watch, come on, keep looking at your watch. 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 1. Just want to get going. And that's probably the most nervous I've ever been fishing, is waiting to bait up.
Right.
Once I've baited up and we're into the match, I can't honestly say that I feel nervous. No.
And how was the team sitting after day one?
So, day one, so I was second. God, I'm going all blank now.
Darren?
I'll come on to Darren.
Oh, yeah.
Darren. So,
I'm looking forward to Darren's story. I've not heard it yet.
Tommy was third. Mossy was fifth. 10. That's 10 points on it. 5, 8, 10. Yeah. Darren, with half an hour to go, was lying 9th out of 10. And we know, the runners are brilliant on these venues. They know, there's fish count going on behind each angler. You know what fish people are catching. Our runners have got pads, with grids on where they're putting all the fish, the size of fish. They know exactly where everyone is, to within like a place at the most. So our Rob Brennan was running Darren's section. What a great lad Rob is.
Good angler,
He's
Rob.
brilliant
been
angler.
About for ages.
Rob and I joined Starlets at the same time. Back in 1999. Rob, top angler in his own right, Rob.
He is.
Oh,
He is.
And the best, one of the best blokes on the planet.
Adi Whittle spoke about Rob a lot.
Oh,
in
it's
his
amazing.
Podcast.
Yeah. Me. Everyone had their own room on the World Champs, but me, Rob, and Darren had a little lodge. The three of us, which but only had one toilet. Can you imagine how that made the toilet times in the morning? We've had examples of Matt, haven't we, in here this morning?
Yeah,
but
we have. Would have been on that level.
I did a really good fart earlier, folks, in the podcast
And
studio.
just sorry to interrupt, but he came over to my side of the studio, did it behind me,
Yeah.
and then came back over
I
there.
thank you.
Yeah, this is a bad diversion. Back onto World Champs.
Yeah, so you can imagine the toilet time anyway. So
Yeah.
I just got to tell you this. Sorry, it just makes me laugh. I'm waffling on again. I can't believe this. Right at the key moment as well. Darren's about to
Weigh in.
Oh, what's he
Anyway.
going to do? No. Anyway, so yeah, we're in the, and Rob's complaining about the aroma in the toilet area in the mornings. Anyway, he's gone off to the supermarket in the morning, and he's come back looking all pleased with himself. He's bought some air freshener. It's like lemon flavoured air freshener. so well, this will sort you out. Anyway, after a couple of days, he's a bit sort of, what's going on with this? This air freshener not right? Anyway, we did all this Google Translate. It's like lemon furniture polish. He's been spraying this furniture polish all around the toilet.
I bet the floor was slippy, weren't
Well,
it?
the toilet seat was slippy. I know. A couple of thuds in the morning as you sort of falling off the toilet seat. Oh dear. Italian furniture polish.
That's a great
Anyway,
story.
I digress. So, yeah, half an hour to go. Darren's line 9th in his section. And obviously we know about the carp. Rob, Nige, Franks, who was behind Darren, and Darren collectively decided, even if Darren caught a couple of better skimmers, there weren't many better skimmers, by the way. 4 to 10 ounce was what they were. There was an odd 12, 14 ouncer. A fish over a pound was like gold dust. There weren't many at all. So Darren was sort of told, even if you catch 2 or 3 better skimmers, which is unlikely, you might only jump up a point or 2 points. So the decision was made, just fish for carp, go for gonk. So, you get a 5-minute hooter just before. Can you imagine the stress levels building up in Darren as he's...
No. Horrible
it's like...
situation.
We've all been there. No, I haven't. In the World Champs, you can imagine. He's sitting there knowing he's 9th out of a 10-peg section. There's 6 minutes left. Nothing's happening. 5-minute hooter goes. Darren's tip's gone whacking round. He's hooked into a Migliarino carp. So there's 5 minutes to go. It's a big carp,
And international rules.
International rules are the
clear.
fish has got to be clear of the water by the time the next hooter goes, which is in 5 minutes' time now. So you've got Nigel running up and down. Darren, come on, you got speed. He's got the fish across the canal. A couple of minutes left. Got it under the rod, but it's still making these sort of runs and jiggering about under the rod top. Nigel's sort of looking at his watch. There's 90 seconds to go. Darren's still not got this fish out.
I've gone all cold with nerves now, Si.
Bearing in mind, this is the difference. But if I told you second in Darren's zone, well, give the game away. But anyway, Darren's netted this carp. There's 1 minute to go. He's netted this carp. He's literally got the carp, put it in his net, and started packing up. And Nigel said to him, "Darren, there's a minute to go." He's like, "What am I going to do in a minute?" He's just put a 3 kilo. Well, it's 4.1 kilos this carp because they weighed them all separately.
It's £10 virtually, isn't it?
Yeah, but it only counts as 3 kilos.
Yeah.
But second in Darren's section was 1.9 kilos.
Go on, Darren.
Second in the whole. So Darren's gone from 9th to 1st.
Wazzed it.
Won her. He's got 1 point. So our team has gone from, we've got the 3 of us have got 10 points. Darren, we would have had 19. We've now got 11.
Yes.
And
what a result.
On day 1, you asked the original question about 10 minutes ago. How did you end up on day 1? Joint first with France.
Well done.
So France were beating us on weight. That's the fish. That's the
fish.
I mean, look at the look on their faces. I mean,
What a photo.
that sums it up. That's absolutely my favourite. One of my favourite picks from the
Mark
World
Morris
Champs.
kissing it.
Mark Morris. Yeah, I've seen a picture of that cropped, by the way, with just below Mark's cap. It doesn't look good.
Ah, right, yeah.
If
Yeah.
you can sort of imagine.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, but there's been some photoshopping going off there. Wow,
But
I tell
I
you what, it's a massive car, innit?
That sums up. Look at the look on like Rob's and Darren's faces, and obviously with Mark kissing that. That just sums up
That's
to
a
me the whole of that.
brilliant
Yeah.
Incredible.
picture.
Yeah. Oh, that. Bloody hell.
And hang on, we're only halfway through.
We're only
here.
halfway through.
This is just day one.
This is day 1.
Come on, keep going. I'm into this. I'm
So-
into this.
So day 1, we're now second on weight. If that had counted for its weight, we'd be first. But obviously, it counts for 3 kilos. So we were second, just a couple of kilos behind.
Can I ask you a question? What sort of gear were you using for them fish? Because I'm in the moment of Darren playing
Yeah.
it. What tackles he got on? What?
Proper gear. Like 020 hook lengths.
Right,
A proper strong barbel type hook.
right. Bunch of maggots.
Yeah, well, we were feeding, bunch of bloodworm, big bloodworm for carp. This is Rob Brennan came up with this.
Right.
Talking about Rob Brennan being a great, tactician and a spy, apart from anything else. The best bait was that, these big bloodworm that you don't want to put on the hook for skimmers. You'd stick like 8 of those on a hook. It's massive bait. It looks like, like the end of your finger like this. Huge, like fluorescent red bait, tipped with a maggot just to stop them flying off. And that was the bait that we caught the carp on.
Interesting.
Yeah. I say a lot of teams fish sticky mag, but we caught, I reckon, if there were, say, 13 carp caught on the World Champs, our team caught 6 of them.
You've got it right.
Over 2 days. We got it right, yeah. Yeah, I'd like to think so. So, yeah, day 1, we're in France are first, we're second, tied on points, 11. Italy, favourites, 14.
Ooh,
Germany, I think we're on 16.
it's close then, Si.
Yeah.
Very
And
close.
then there was a gap then below Germany. So on day 2, we're thinking, from a runner's perspective, you just need to keep an eye on, mainly, we were thinking, the Italians and the French, because the French are first, the Italians are third, we're second. So all we have to do is beat the French and Italians and hope, the Germans, you're not thinking they're going to come from 5 points back, but they nearly did. So, yeah, on to day 2. But with the emphasis, the team was the same for day 2. The emphasis now is on trying to beat the Italians and the Frenchmen. Excuse me. So I drew on day 2 D section, and I was on D3.
Which is probably not the right end of the section,
No,
is it?
9 and 10 were pretty much dominating the section down there.
Because that's the end of the match, the end pegs in the match.
Yeah. So I was on D3 for day 2. The wind on day 2, all week, I should say, all week, the weather had been dead still, frosty, like in the morning, proper frosty, 1.5 degrees, got up to like 4 or 5 degrees in the day. We're all proper togged up in wind stoppers, and apart from Rich Vaughan, he's still. Shorts, yeah. To be fair, he put his thick-soled flip-flops on.
I don't know how does it.
I remember going to a goldenrod match at Holcroft, and Rich turned up in a T-shirt and shorts and flip-flops. And if I told you the goldenrod match, feeder match obviously, got cancelled because it was frozen solid. Rich is there, and he's there in his flip-flops and his shorts and T-shirt. Anyway, so yeah, Rich, I think even some of the pictures, Rich is in his flip-flops and shorts. But, got to say what an amazing job he did for me as well. He ran my section both days. Incredible. He just keeps you so calm. He's so positive as well. That really kept me going. At times when you're thinking, it's not quite going right, he's like, you're doing good, chill out. Every fish, you sort of, well done, Si, brilliant stuff. It really keeps you going.
It's important.
It's important, really, really important, yeah. Yeah, definitely. So the conditions went from that to gale force winds blowing right to left up the canal, and like 1.5 2 foot waves. I was thinking about getting my surfboard out again. Literally, the waves were like rolling. You had to have your tip this far above the water, and you were still getting a bounce back as the waves came through.
Right.
It was completely different conditions.
Had you not practiced in anything like that?
No. I think on the first day there was some wind, but not like that. It was like, 40, 50 mile an hour gusts.
Wow.
It was horrendous. Like some of the windiest conditions I've ever fished in. So, we've gone from fishing 1/2 ounce glass tips to try and see the little finicky skimmer bites to, you've got to fish carbon tips and all the rest of it. The tow was huge on day 2 compared to day 1. There was no tow.
You almost had to reset up for day 2 then.
You had to reset up. The other thing was that feeding that far bank line. You imagine trying to feed that in holes in the brambles. It was near enough impossible. I on the bait up. I said to you about feeling a bit hyper come bait up. I'm thinking when I come to feed that line with the wind hacking down that way, I think I've hit one on the spot. I thought, that's good. The next one went 6 feet down that way. The next one I compensated. It's gone 6 feet that way, and I thought I'm not doing it. I'm not going to start putting bait everywhere. So I sort of abandoned that line, thinking, it's going to be a skimmer match. Going to forget the bonus resting line. But the match went on. The turning point for me, I caught probably like a couple of kilos of skimmers in the first half of the match, but it started sort of dying on me quite a bit. And halfway through the match, the wind changed from blowing up the canal this way to pretty much blowing off our backs. So all of a sudden, that far bank line was, a lazy lob with a little, guru bait up with a 20 gram lead on. You could plop it in a little hole on the bank. So I just thought, we're halfway through the match, and I'm thinking, I haven't fed it. No one's been able to feed it. You couldn't. I don't care who. You couldn't feed it. It was impossible. But when that wind went off our backs, I just thought, here we go. Got to do something because everything's dying on me. So I put 5 big bait ups, and everyone, went in like beautiful, exactly where I wanted to, because the wind's like a little, off your back. It's dead easy to do in those conditions. stayed on my skimmer lines for another sort of 10, 15 minutes, caught a couple of tiny little fish. I just thought, I'm going to have a go for a carp. You know, I've got to try and rest this for a bit longer. But I wanted to rest it on that carp line. So I put, you know, the old big bloodworm baits on, cast out, hit the clip. I thought, that's absolute mint. That's gone in exactly. You know, like I was sitting there just admiring my cast, thinking, that's bloody brilliant. That
I feel like I'm sat behind you here.
Absolutely amazing. So I've hit the clip, put it down, and before I could get my rod on the rest, it's gone.
Were they good bites?
Was it? Well, that was a good bite. Bloody hell! I only lost the rod.
Wow.
You know, I've hit. I was just sitting there admiring my cast, and the rod's gone. And the funny thing is, at that exact same time, one of the anglers, I think it was the Irish lad, it's about 4 pegs to my right, had hooked a carp on his skimmer rod. So he had a massive crowd around him. He was playing this carp. And Nigel Franks, our manager, was like in amongst the crowd watching this guy play his carp. In the meantime, I've hooked this one. But of course, the crowd's around him. So no one's noticed that I've got this carp on. And I've literally played it. I've got proper gear on. I've played this carp. It's coming fairly easy. You know, like a big bream sort of across the canal. And it's coming fairly easy. And anyway, I've gone a bit slightly mad on that. As I've netted it, Nigel turned round and he's come running up and said, "Have you just caught carp?" Oh, yeah. It's 3.6 kilos it was. So before the carp, the runners had me down for 3rd or 4th. So 9 and 10 were running away with the section.
The end pegs.
The end pegs, 9 and 10, were running away with the section. What I didn't say that, you know, we were talking about looking after the French and the Italians. I had the Frenchman on my right and the Italian on my left. So the Italian was D1, D2, I was D3, the Frenchman was D4.
Perfect for bank running.
For
You can
bank
watch
running,
everyone.
so Rich could just sit behind and say, "Oh, there's the Frenchman, there's me, there's the Italian." So I was beating the Italian by a long way before the carp. The Frenchman and myself, Eve, who I know is Garbolino angler, was on my right. So we all had matching gear, you know, me and the Frenchman. We were kind of level-ish, but the first two were running away with it. So Rich had me down for 3rd or 4th between me and the Frenchman. Obviously, I've had this carp. I've just stuck 3 kilos in the net. And there's now, what is there? Like hour and a bit to go, hour and a half to go. Put a carp in the net. So I'm now pushing the 2 on the end. No, 3 kilos. I just want to think. It's amazing. Once you're a few weeks on, you know, straight afterwards, exactly, yeah. A few weeks on, I'm just trying to recall. So now I'm ahead of the Frenchman, definitely. I'm miles ahead of the Italian anyway, and I'm probably still behind the 2 down the bottom. Anyway, I've had another carp. Another sort of 15, 20 minutes later, I've had another one.
Good one as well.
3-point-something kilos. So I've just put 6 kilos in the net. I'm now ahead of everyone. Right, even 9 and 10, I've gone past them now.
Nice.
So now it's like, do I fish for skimmers and try and consolidate, or do I, you know, carry on with carp? I've just had 2 carp in not a lot of time. Anyway, so I thought I'll feed it again, have another quick look for skimmers. It was dead, couldn't catch anything. Gone on my carp line again. I've had another one, another carp.
Were you nervous playing them?
No, well, the first one. Yeah,
Heart were beating a
I
little
wouldn't
bit.
say no, I'm not nervous. Just I don't know. It doesn't seem to affect me like that, honestly. And I had the 3rd one, and now I'm way ahead. So everyone else now needs to catch carp to catch me. So I've just got license now to fish for until the end of the match. And I had another one.
4.
4 carp. Yeah.
How many got caught on the whole match?
I think it's about 10.
And you've caught 4 of them.
Yeah.
And there they are. I found them.
Yeah.
Is this the catch shot
Yeah.
from day 2?
Well, that's the carp part of it. Yeah. Caught a couple of skimmers as well.
Wow. Everyone's a common.
Yeah.
Was that the case? They were all commons?
I think it was. Yeah, I can't remember, to be honest with you. I think Darren's was as well. Yeah.
Beautiful fish, aren't they?
Yeah. So there you go.
And
12
the result, tell us the
12
result.
and a half kilos, which won the match outright, the whole match.
Yeah.
The 9 and 10 had 8 kilos and 7 kilos. So even without the last cart, I think possibly without the last two, because I still might have, I would have been ahead of them after two. Because I'd have had 2 carts, 6 kilos, plus my 2 kilos something of skimmers. So yeah, it would have been enough anyway without those last two. But obviously the last two were the icing on the cake. And so that was it. But I wasn't thinking, anything individually. I was just concerned about doing a job for the team.
And
because we got a chance for a medal.
What happened when the results came in, team-wise? How were we looking at this point? Obviously, you're match winner, 1 point, clear winner.
Yeah. We ended up with 30 points in total. So with 19 points on day 2. 19 points. And the French had scored 11 points again. So they were like a mile ahead. So 22 points for the French. The Italians had bombed out completely. The guy next to me was last. And they had another last as well. So they had 2 lasts in section. But the Germans had done really well. And it wasn't until the last 2 anglers in my section weighed in at the end of D9, because the German was sort of high enough up that he would have beaten us to the silver medal. But because 9 and 10 beat the German, that relegated him, and we tied on points with Germany.
And where did you end up?
Second.
You beat him on weight?
Silver medalist. We beat him on weight, yeah.
Yes. So maybe the 2 carp were important.
We beat him by 6 kilos, but the last 2 carp were 2 point something and 1 point something.
Ah, right.
So they didn't actually. The last 2 carp didn't actually matter, but it was just amazing. So after all of that, France won it with world champions with 22 points, fished brilliantly. They'd not caught any carp on it. They just fished a really tidy skimmer match. Their fish count was low as well. So they've obviously worked out catching better skimmers. Do
you know what they did? Did you find out?
Yeah, sort of bigger baits, leaving it in longer. We sort of, just leaving the bigger baits in for longer, catching bigger skimmers. We were 30 points, tied with Germany, but beat them on weight. So, silver medalists, team silver medalists, and Germany bronze medalists.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And individual result.
I
know you're holding back on telling us this, but this is the one.
Yeah, individual result. I've ended up winning the whole thing and becoming the Masters Feeder World Champion 2023.
Yes!
Which, after what happened the previous year particularly was, just amazing. What an amazing feeling.
An incredible achievement.
Congratulations.
So happy for you, mate.
Yeah.
Well done.
Amazing.
Well done.
What an achievement.
How did it feel? Tell us how it felt.
Well, it's the most amazing feeling I've had in fishing. You can talk about, Division 1 national, double gold on that. I never thought I'd beat that ever. Never thought I'd beat it. People, even winning the Maven match this final, 60 grand, great. But an angler of my age, sort of, when I was growing up, there weren't all the big money matches. Division 1 was as big as it could get. And I never thought I'd beat that. Winning Division 1 individually and as a team, even when the matches came along, that was always kind of, don't get me wrong, a mega achievement, mega amazing competition. And I'm so proud to say I've won that. But this just sort of, you've been there, done it, Matt. It's a feeling that you can't replicate.
World champion.
You're the
best individually.
In the world. But the fact that we got Team Silver just made it the best celebration, because I don't care what you say, even if I'd have won, in time to come, I could have looked back on an individual world champion sort of gold medal and think, that's amazing, brilliant. But at the time, if the lads had missed out on a medal, I wouldn't have been able to celebrate it. Like I was able to, because we came away with the silver medal, which was, beyond our expectations. So, first and foremost, it's a team event, as you know. But when the team does well, as a byproduct, one of your anglers is quite likely to do well if the team does well. And it was, I'm lucky enough that it was me. So, amazing.
What an achievement.
Incredible, feeling, incredible achievement. Something that will live with me forever. Whatever else happens, sort of people say, where do you go from here? And I sort of, how about a team gold maybe? Love to do that,
That's the ultimate next,
That'd be...
I'm so confident you will do it as well. I am
amazing
sure of it.
to do it. We got a great group of lads. We really have got a great group of lads. And it was, next year's at Zeghead. I know it's a venue
Si, there's
in
not many
Hungary.
teams. Flipping heck, you must really fancy that.
I love it. I mean, I've followed, your vlogs
Mm.
and the float ones. I've followed like Runes and Bobby and Steve and Tanks go previously on the feeder one.
Yeah, they
Looks
won that.
amazing venue. They
Yeah.
won that, and
You've got a right chance there. You really, really have. You will absolutely love it, and I'm
Yeah.
sure everyone will be rooting for you.
Yeah.
What was the response like? Getting back home, world
Oh, it's
champion,
ridiculous.
family, friends. What?
absolutely ridiculous. I thought it was, after the Maven match this, I thought it was amazing. People like contacting me and,
Yeah.
phoning, congratulating. It's sort of gone mad.
Mm.
You don't realise how big that sort of thing is, I suppose. And yeah, it's been incredible.
Mm.
It's, I don't know. And it's kind of, I don't know. I haven't stopped buzzing.
Yeah. And
Still buzzing now. I mean, we're over a month along from it now. This was 1st and 2nd of December. 1st and 2nd December. And, I've had a good month, December. So on the 30th, I qualified for the Golden Rod final at Larford. So that was a great way to finish the month. And obviously that was the 1st of the month, 1st and 2nd of the month. So
what a start and what a finish.
what a
to the
start
month.
and a finish, yeah.
I'm saying world champions topping the lot. Though,
Oh,
Si.
man. Yeah.
I am saying you can't compare Goldenrod to world champ.
No.
That's incredible.
No, I'm not going to.
And off the back of not just what happened the previous year on the World Championship, and I think it's so good that you told that story, and I'm not superstitious or anything, but I just think good things happen to good people, and
It does make you
fate-
wonder. It's like,
Yeah, that's definitely meant to be and fully deserved. But what a roller coaster of a show. I can't say how much I've enjoyed having you on. I know Toby's absolutely loved it.
Mate, honestly, I just want to, some of the stories, mate, and the way you tell them, I've not been speechless. Mate, I'm so engrossed.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, Tones.
Mate, honestly, I've really, really enjoyed it. I'm going to be.
I've enjoyed being here.
I'll be totally honest with you as well. I've needed a wee for about 45 minutes, but I just can't. I didn't want to
No.
stop it. The flow. Everyone was just. The stories were too good. I'm
Yeah,
so
yeah.
into it, mate.
No.
Honestly, incredible show.
I've spoke about having you on for a while, Si, and absolutely loved it. And I told you this when I researched you, but I've got so much respect for your versatility and all-round ability in fishing, and you've got the achievements to back it up on so many levels. Thank you for coming
I
on.
appreciate you having me, mate. And it means a lot coming from you, mate, I can tell you.
Honestly, love it,
Does.
mate. Love it. Massive respect. But we're not going yet. Quick fire questions. I've not even teed you up for this, but I know you listen to the show. Item in your seat box you could not live without. What is it?
There's only one thing for me. It's my glasses. I don't know if you noticed with my pictures. I've got these the glasses on. The
I noticed.
safety glasses. I've got loads of people comment on them. Why would you wear those for? I used to have terrible problems with my eyes running.
Right.
And obviously when you're fishing, you got bait and dirt and that over your hands. I used to rub my eyes and it used to sort of swell up. And so they've got my prescription in the bottom so I can see, because I can't see without them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as a byproduct, they keep the wind out of my eyes and they stop me, rubbing the eyes and that. So people often, why do you wear those safety glasses fishing? And I always do. And funny enough, Mick Viles asked me about it once, and I told him, and he went, bloody hell. It's like a light bulb moment. He does the same now.
You know what? Everyone's going to be wearing
Yeah.
safety glasses for fishing
They are
now.
now.
You're going to start
Yeah.
something there.
But the main reason I wear them is so I can see.
Got you.
So when you get to a certain age, you'll understand. Your vision's kind of, trying to put a bloodworm on
Yeah.
without 10-foot arms is a problem for me. So-
Got you. If you had one day left to live and you had to go fishing somewhere, where would you go and what would you do?
Where would I go? One day left. I would go to the north shore of Oahu in Hawaii, sitting, watching them surfing at Pipeline, and maybe just having a little dabble down the edge for a sea bass or something. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's a
That's
good answer. That's an
nice.
incredible answer.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be bothered
yeah.
about the fishing, to be honest with you. I'd be watching them getting barreled at
Yeah.
Pipeline. So
Look at all the
Incredible.
professional surfing tournament.
Yeah.
You can tell he does it. He's come out with so many things, and I think you sound like a right cool such and such. I've learnt loads of surfing terminology. Who's the best angler that you've ever fished with, Si?
it's a fairly easy one for me. He's my best mate. I'm going to say Darren Cox. The most massive influence on my fishing career. don't think he realises it sometimes, but I can tell you from coming from sort of, club fishing and, to travelling with Darren and,
Yeah.
going to be him.
Fantastic guy. Love Darren to bits. Incredible angler. Love seeing you two together fishing as well.
Yeah.
I see it a lot and it's always very warming. If there were one thing you could change about fishing, what would it be?
Does it have to be one thing?
Only one, I'm afraid. We get very strict on these now.
Right.
Guests have started to try and push the boat out.
I've got a couple. Pick one. What would I change?
I'm definitely going to ask you which the other one is now after anyway. So,
All right. Well, if I could change one thing,
yeah,
I'd like to see. It's never going to happen, but I'd like to see. You can change anything. I can change anything. I'd like to see. I've heard you and Steve talk about what's better: international fishing or big money fishing. You did a podcast fairly recently about that, and I'm saying, why not combine the two and have like a European tour? Like in golf. Have like a European tour where you've got the best anglers in Europe competing on an international sort of Europe-wide merry-go-round for big money.
Love
That's
it.
what I'd like to change. How about that?
It's like the Champions League of fishing.
Yeah,
a
European tour for like as in golf, but for fishing.
Yeah.
Love
So
it.
Cool.
all your international anglers are fishing on. You'd have one in Hungary. Like this week we're in Hungary at Szeged. Next week we're going to the Migliorino Canal in Italy. Next week we're at Barston Lakes in Solihull in Birmingham, near Birmingham.
Book me in.
Like
That
a
sounds
tour.
fantastic.
Around my tour.
Let's make it happen.
Yeah, I'll be your caddy. If you
I
want
was
to.
thinking
Yeah.
you could provide the prize fund, maybe. No, that's that. What a great answer,
Yeah.
Tobe.
Yeah. We haven't had anything on
Big
that.
money
yeah.
international fishing
Yeah.
style
International-
event.
Like
Yeah.
a tour. Yeah,
Wow. Yes.
yeah.
Be brilliant.
If you had to give someone who's never been fishing before some inspiration to go
Yeah.
and give it a go, what would you say to them, Si?
I would say get yourself up early in the morning, get onto a stunning, beautiful venue like an Irish loch or a English reservoir. Watch the sunrise, the mist clear. Take it all in. Take in the beauty of what's around you. Watch your kingfisher dive in, grab a fish. And if you like fishing, absolutely fantastic. You can get involved. If you don't, you'll just see the most amazing nature and scenery around you. And you're out in the outdoors. That's I would say, yeah.
Amazing. Fantastic answer. And finally, not to be greedy, but have you brought the Fishing Grooves podcast a gift that you can leave with us?
Yeah. Who do you think I'm, Eddie Whittle?
I hope it's better than Eddie
I was
Whittle's.
waiting for that.
I've got you a gift, mate.
Right.
Yeah.
Wait, it's not just for me, Toby as well,
Tobes.
but
Yeah.
I've got a gift for the podcast.
Brilliant.
I'm excited
And-
about this one.
I've got to say, Rob Brennan, this is down to Rob Brennan. It's Rob had, and this touched us all, he had a book made of our Masters Feeder World Championships in Italy.
Right.
And it's a proper log of the whole trip from the journey over to the practice, to the meals out, to the little jokes we had in. So it's kind of an internal book, but I wanted to share it with you guys.
Wow.
And so
Wow.
here to the podcast, and just have a quick flick through. But
Let me have a look at that. Look
It's-
at that, Tobe. This is not your copy. This is
no,
you've had this for
listen, I
us.
said I've ordered you something,
Wow, look at that.
Look at that.
but
That's incredible, mate.
all the way
Thank
through
you.
this.
Yeah, wow.
You know, like you were saying about how was it for you when you got home? I've got my own page. Rob did it all. Rob Brennan did all this.
That is
Wow.
phenomenal.
I've
What
got-
a gift.
Got my own world champions welcome home.
Look at you all travelling out. Do you know what I'm going to do, Tobe?
Yeah.
I'm going to do some photos of every page.
Yep.
And at the end of the show, we can play it so everyone,
Yeah, I can do that.
yeah, everyone who's listened to this can have a look at what I'm looking at now because this is phenomenal. Practice week, catfish, skimmers. Look at that. Great, isn't it?
That's brilliant, mate.
So, if you are listening to the show,
Go and watch it.
Yeah, make sure at least at this part you have a look at this gift. Because if you're not getting a better behind the scenes look at
There's that
Sci Fry winning the
picture.
world champs.
The team. Look at the picture there, Darren's fish.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. That's the shot.
That's my favourite picture.
That is
from
the
lot.
shot. Wow.
And that'll get a lot of future guests now will come in. That'll be one of the. That'll be getting a lot of reading before.
Yeah, it will.
That's
Definitely.
brilliant. Thank you, mate. That's a brilliant gift.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Look at this. You and Paula when you get home.
Yeah.
Wow. Is that Carol Vorderman?
Oh, yeah.
Does Tommy Pickering like Carol Vorderman?
Well, I'm not saying too much,
It
but
says here, just for Tommy.
there's a little legend down there
Carol.
that tells you what's for what. Yeah.
Tommy,
Brilliant.
are
Wow.
these maggots dead? Richard, they will be after spending 2 hours in your company. Oh, Si, thank you.
Yeah,
very,
thank you, mate.
Very, very, very. Look at that at the back. There's obviously some inside jokes going on here.
Yeah,
Isn't there?
a lot of that's kind of had to be there. But you imagine that, like,
Yeah.
Rob got us all that for Christmas.
Mate.
What a gift. I
What a
bet
guy.
you're almost
Incredible.
teary
Oh,
when
yeah,
you
no,
opened
definitely.
that.
Yeah, that's amazing. Amazing.
Thank you, mate. What a gift.
So-
And we'll end the show. I'll put some pictures up of every page so you can have a little look at it, folks. And gives me great pleasure, though, Si. Honestly.
Yeah.
Loved that one. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you
coming on.
very much indeed.
Will you come back?
If you have me back, of course I would, yeah.
Love to.
Absolutely.
Toby's going to treat us to a Nando's now.
Yes,
Too right.
Tobes, come on.
Thank you, Si. Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
Thank you very much.